Let me make sure I have these stupid. So I learned last time when I was doing a stream last time. I did one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
See if it does it. And these stupid reaction things happen.
Oh.
Apple was like, "Hey, we should add these." Same thing if you do like one of like a Richard Nixon.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's even better when they don't tell you.
Wow, we're being watched by the government.
So I found out how to disable it, but it was fun when I was. I think it was the card where you hopped on with me, and it gave like I think I did like a thumbs down with like a raspberry, and it popped up like a big pop up of a thumbs down, and I was like, "What? What the?" I thought StreamYard did it. I'm like, "What? Why are you doing this to me?"
Yeah, wild.
Set up now.
All right. Well, I think we're good to go. I think we are alive. Finally.
We are live. As news just dropped too. Marc-Andre Barrios is out of his fight next week.
Oh shit.
Andre Petrosky stepping in against Michael Pereira.
Interesting.
I thought they were over in Thailand just, prepping for CFC Muay Thai. But I guess it was like, I don't know if it was a mix of that and prepping for this fight or prepping for this fight. But
so, oh, that's weird. I respond for you.
Yeah. So everything we do in the box will go to, I think, both channels.
Oh, sweet.
So Sinister's from James Lynch's Discord.
Oh, right on. Cool. What's up, man? Welcome.
So that was from my end. It'd be cool if they told you like what channel it came from.
Yeah.
But
I just naturally assumed from your side. But anyways, like just about this card really quick. There's like a lot of really interesting talent on the main card for LFA 169, and I will tell you, like there are a few on here that I'm really looking forward to, but the one name that I really have circled, and I won't be biased because I sponsor Kevin Fernandez, so I'm going to do my best to try not to talk too much about him, but Melissa Croden, she's a really special fighter. And a lot of people probably don't know a whole lot about her. But I'm telling you guys, if you haven't seen her fight before, I think she's going to really put on a performance tonight. And 135, it's lacking quite a bit. I think they need an infusion of youth. That's kind of like the one downfall with her. She's not exactly the youngest. She's 31 or 32. So that all being said, I still think there's room for her in that bantamweight division. And they obviously really like her. She fought for the LFA title in her last fight against Jacqueline Cavalcanch, and she came up a little short, but that one went the distance, and she was in it until the very, very end. Cavalcanch won the fight clearly, but she hung with her for sure. So I'm curious to see how well she does with a favorable matchup.
Yeah, I mentioned to some of the guys who are in the chat right now, like Craig and Sinister, that I sponsored a fighter and you sponsored a fighter. I sponsored Aaron Lafarge. I had yours mixed up. I thought you had Landry. I couldn't remember exactly who it was.
Landry's a good dude.
I kind of explained that's why we didn't really do a preview show, because it would have been a little like, I can't comment on this one. I can't comment on that one. But it should get fun. Taking some, let's call them vitamins right now.
Yeah.
I should be a lot more talkative in a little bit once the vitamins kick in.
So, Bellator 300, like, does anyone who is joined us on the chat, does anyone care about that? If so, like, please tell me why. I just would really like to know. The one fight I was really looking forward to, Bader and Linton Vassell, that's dropped off. I actually thought Linton was going to win that fight. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of money on him. So I was sad to see that one drop off.
Yeah, I think with 300, I think I had interest when it looked like it was the last card.
Yeah.
Like it was more one of those like, hey, you kind of have to watch it because like, what is this Bellator PFL or Bellator going as a whole? What happens with everyone?
That's a great question. Like, and can PFL absorb the entire roster? And that's, I think, the question that Or I think the answer to that question, if we're all being honest with each other, is well, no. I mean, they're going to absorb maybe what 30% of it if we're being generous. Everyone else is going to presumably go back to regionals, presumably, or someplace like Octagon or One or somewhere else.
So John Davis from I know he follows me on Twitter. I don't know if he follows you anywhere else. I care more about PFL and their occasional interruption of commercials with fights than Bellator. Which is, I mean, that's pretty spot on. Like if PFL could at least get Bellator's pacing, not fight card size. PFL does not need a 22 fight prelim.
No.
Yet alone like a 22 fight main card. But then they also need to not have a 8 fight card take 8 hours.
Fair point. Yeah, that's certainly fair.
Like that's still the reason why like I still don't know if I'm going to go to PFL finals because like if I have to sit there and like, twiddle my thumbs for an hour, I'd rather do it at home while playing like Starfield or literally anything else.
Yeah, I think they will streamline it though. I think that with it being in France and the whole European element of things, I'm sure that definitely had something to do with it. But I would expect there to be like a more streamlined show in DC for sure.
And then Craig states that he just wants to see Bryce Meredith, which is a good idea. I mean, there's some people on the card who I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see if Slim fights tomorrow because supposedly he's still under contract with Aries.
If you're talking about LFA 169, it just started. Bellator 300, to clarify for people who don't know, that's not until tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of the rare cards that they did not do a Friday. Which doesn't really make much sense because the only things going tonight are one championship and LFA.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Tonight would have made sense. You figure tomorrow they're going up against a pretty weak UFC card.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say UFC or Bellator on Showtime, everyone's watching UFC. Bellator's gonna be like maybe you hop on, I guess, now for the 2 title fights, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I'll have it on just because. But am I excited for it? I'll watch it, but it's gonna be definitely like a second screen scenario.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, especially now, like, do I care about McFarlane not being a title fight now? I didn't care when it was a title fight.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did, quite honestly.
I mean, you figure that's probably her last fight. So, like, when she loses, she's retiring.
Couldn't you say that though about with the exception of Nurmagomedov? Couldn't you just say that about everybody though? Like, I literally don't know. For the people on the main card, I literally don't know if this is the last time we're watching them fight. It very well could be.
I mean, like, I have some interest, I guess, in the Chris Cyborg fight. Just because if you do MMA math, Liz has beaten Nunes. Nunes walked over Cyborg.
Oh, Alfred Walker missed weight. Came in heavy. Sorry.
I mean, that's why I had you as Walker. I mean, you just had to be professional, and you weren't.
I'm very unprofessional. What can I say?
But what about the Cuban De La Cruz? That's the opening fight of the month of the card. Debo also, I guess he's fighting now. No one's fighting now. The card just started. It's the whole talking head scenario where they hype the card and tell you how great it's going to be. And then at least the opening fight, which is the Cuban De La Cruz, as I'm going to butcher your name, and I apologize ahead of time, Yaciel Gongoria. But I mean, LFA does really good cards. John Davis, I'm not very critical of fights and announced teams, and I'm going to criticize Bellator's commentary. I agree. Like, you would think Big John would be good, but between it's him and like it's him. Okay, the guy wrote the MMA rules. Thank you.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell us every card. I don't need to know on PFL that Ali is Ali's grandson. I don't care.
I didn't know that. They should say it 500 more times.
Yeah. Did you know his godfather is Flavor Flav?
No, they should zoom in on him for the next fight, so I'm aware.
FIFA, what's the next fight? The next fight is Daniel De La Cruz versus Ishmael Israelov. And sounds like they're getting ready to walk out now. And just as a reminder, because I'm sure the next question is going to be like, where's the fight? We aren't
Dallas,
able
Texas.
to stream the fight.
Yeah.
So
YouTube would not like that.
UFC Fight Pass has a lot more money than either one of us, despite being told that they don't have a budget for things. They do have a budget to sue us for showing third fights or striking copyright, all the fun stuff. So to watch the fight, you do need Fight Pass, or to learn how to use the internet to find the stream otherwise. But as far as like on here, this is going to be like us just talking and having fun and interacting with whoever's in the chat, giving our thoughts on the fights, and like a watch along. It's literally the fight companion you didn't ask for, but you're here, so thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it for sure. And I never get to do these for Cage Warriors because of the time difference.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's a Saturday.
I like this because they're during the day, usually on Saturday, and the Cage Warriors I love because they schedule perfectly around my tattoo sessions. Like they're really good cards. Are always gonna have a tattoo session.
Well, yeah, I've called in some favors for you. So Richie Miranda is another guy. He's the biggest, to the best of my knowledge. Now, I did not check the odds, so if you guys have any action on this, I highly recommend checking it out. I did write down some odds, but it was when I was doing some homework, getting ready for this card. So the money lines may have shifted. So if I throw out a line, keep in mind it's probably 2 days old. So I definitely recommend you go and check out whatever is on your book before you make any bets. But from the last time I checked, Richie Miranda was the highest favorite on this card, minus 1,000. Zach, I don't know if that line shifted at all. It went up.
He's now minus 2,000.
Wow. Okay. So there you go. And there's kind of a reason why. Richie Miranda, fun fact, I actually named him my 2022 prospect of the year. I've been very, very impressed by him. I've been watching him compete for a couple of different years now. And this guy is going to be he's going to be a very special fighter one day. Keep in mind, he fought Keegan Genrick his last go around. He lost by split decision. Genrick won the fight, but he arguably, depending on how you view that fight going back to it, he arguably 10-8'd Genrick in the third round. So there was a little bit of mild controversy, but with that aside, he's a really special fighter. That guy is a mauler, and I'm expecting that to happen when he makes that walk. I'm expecting him to level change and get it right away and just completely maul this guy. So we'll see if I am made to look like an ass here in a couple minutes when that fight takes place. But he is the highest betting favorite on this card for a reason, and it's because of his wrestling chops.
And then for those who are in the betting buying state, this opening bout is the closest bet odd-wise on the entire card. It's a pick'em. And like when I say pick'em, it is as of right now on Bet Online, which is like their sponsor LFA. So they're probably gonna be your most accurate betting line. Ishmael is minus 112, and De La Cruz is minus 108. So like there's not even a hedge on here. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think Bet Online does live odds either, which kind of sucks. So you pretty much have to get in like now. And I also don't think they do they do parlays now. I remember there's a few websites who do not do parlays on regionals, which is annoying. But yeah, minus 112 versus minus 108. You're not going to get more even than that.
No, that's probably the closest money line for the evening. I don't expect the lines to shift radically, but things are pretty much set how they are. I did want to throw in like a random UFC question for Dawson Green tomorrow. What are your guys' thoughts on that card? I'm curious to hear what you all think. Grant Dawson, I mean, he has just been on a complete tear the past couple years. Now he's getting a headline fight. Now that would have been like a really big accomplishment, 24 months ago, 36 months ago. But with the current state of affairs and with the UFC kind of being the way that it is, fair to say that, that might not have the acclaim it once did, but it's still nonetheless pretty cool to see a guy He was training at Glory MMA, RIP. He moves to American Top Team, and here he is. He's still crushing it and has a ton of momentum, and now he's in a headline fight, and I think that's pretty cool.
What happened to Glory MMA?
I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. They ran out of money.
You see, comments like that are why you make the sport lame.
There's a backstory to that.
If Green can stop the takedowns, it's maybe a closer fight than the odds indicate. Green does have extremely high-level defensive wrestling. So I agree with that. Rich Curtin, I'm assuming it's probably from your end, but I know I throw a bunch of like tags in mine as well. So I don't know who's on whose. I agree with that. I think Green is also, he kind of needs a win.
Yeah.
He's in that situation where like he's a veteran, so he's probably not gonna get cut. Like he's gonna have the Tony Ferguson pass, where it's gonna be basically like they're gonna just keep giving him different opponents so they get a prospect, and at that point they're gonna be like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
But no, I think Green could probably knock him out if he clips him. Like he has a nice uppercut, so if he goes for a shoot and happens to get like that right timing, it could work. But I think Grant wrestlefucks him for 15 minutes, or I guess 25 minutes with the main event. I just hope that's not what we say.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I think Dawson's gonna get a finish. I think it'll be like a ground and pound finish, or maybe like a submission. That's what I think. I think Dawson figures out a way to end that fight. We'll see. I could be a total jackass. That's that's the issue about talking about fights and predicting fights, because I'm a genius or a jackass every week.
Well, it's even like the co-main event. I assume most are going to be on Joey.
Yeah.
But Abdul could clip him. Especially in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, LFA, for retweeting the link for this as well. I don't know if anyone from LFA is watching, but appreciate you. Sorry, I turned off the little emoji pop-up, so you would have a bunch of like thumbs up bubbles.
Yeah, so welcome if you guys are joining our stream, having seen what LFA retweeted or reposted. Thanks for showing up, and we're here to have a good time. So if you guys have any questions about the LFA card, we will do our best to answer those questions if you have them. If you want to talk about anything else like Bellator or UFC, feel free to drop it in the chat. And if there's a lull in action, we'll certainly try to get to that. As Zach has already stated previously, if you're new to the whole Fight Companion thing, make sure you tune into LFA on UFC Fight Pass. That is where you'll need to go to watch the fight, because we are not allowed to show any of the fight.
Injury. Fight's over. No. How do you call? You can't. Yeah. Rehan. The fight just started. Ismailov's shoulder popped out within the first 5 seconds. The referee stepped in and separated them, which should be enough. That should have called the fight. You don't call timeout and then be like, "Oh, it's back in. You're okay now." Because that just totally took away everything that De La Cruz had going. That's kind of what I think John. I don't think his name's John. John Kruk's the baseball player. Was it Ken Kruk? It's kind of mentioning like that should have been a kind of a stop. Like if you're gonna say your shoulder's injured, that's the end of the fight.
What's up, Mr. B. Hunan? Good to see you.
Those are definitely back to the head shots, though. Rules don't matter in this fight.
What are those?
It's Texas. So, like,
I'm with the pink gloves, though, man, for real. Everyone's talking about the Bellator gold gloves. What about the pink gloves, right?
Yeah. If anyone was watching the prelims or has seen Fury's, or not Fury, sorry, LFA's cards in October, they do pink gloves for breast cancer awareness.
Which is pretty cool.
on the prelims, Kruk did mention I think his mother had breast cancer, so like he gave a nice little reasoning behind it. It was cool. So I still don't know how this fight is still going on.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And there was a lag on my end. So you said that there's an injury, and like my computer was kind of sitting here, and then oh, is he gonna try to knee bar? Will do, buddy. Thanks for dropping in, Alex. Appreciate it, man.
Have a good time tomorrow night. And also, thank you for asking the dick question, by the way. If anyone caught the media day for UFC, Alex made sure that Alex Hernandez's dick works on this weight cut.
Oh, well, he's a man of the people. We all desperately wanted to know.
I mean, I was curious because like that was a big point when he fought was Billy Q. Like post fight, or I guess his next fight, he kind of mentioned like the one worry was that his dick just did not work during that entire camp. So if you ever wondered if that's an angle you like to play, if the fighter's dick works ahead of fight, Alex made sure you got that knowledge.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I needed to know. Appreciate that, man. So this has just been like a mall fest.
Yeah, I'm curious to see one if that shoulder pops again, but also do they keep this pace?
No,
past like 1.5 rounds.
Nope, I don't think so. We'll see.
Yeah, like
I'm in a. I'm kind of. I'll be curious to see if this even how far it gets into the second is what I'm saying, because this is a pretty crazy pace, and I just kind of feel like someone's going to blow their wad pretty early on in the second, and the fight will be over.
I wonder if the best fight odds shows like what the over under was. I mean, best fight odds feels there's only 3 fights in this card, so I guess not. Fight odds.io.
So where are y'all from in the chat? I'm just curious, like if anyone is, from someplace that I would find interesting. Not Pennsylvania.
No, we're just Amish out here. So these guys do not believe in props, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So the over under was 2.5 rounds, which is kind of weird for a 3-round fight. It's usually 1.5 or 2 even. They did have the favorite in the over under did lean under 2.5, which I would say if they can keep somewhat of that same pace, I would assume it would finish in the second.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get out.
If they start gassing, we're going. There's not going to be like a 3rd-round finish. It's going to be like,
yeah, they do that. They're showing the replay of that. You saw, as you mentioned, Zach, that shoulder popping out. He's asking for the stoppage. That was just very awkward. That was very awkward.
Yeah, Cruz was getting handled after Israelov got the shoulder popped in. Yeah, like the thing is, like once you declare an injury, that's fight.
The fight should be over. He's lucky.
It could be as simple as like a finger became dislocated. That's enough to, by the rules of MMA, that is an injury suffused within the fight. That is a fight stopping sequence. That's not like one of those like need opponents, was he down, not down scenarios. That's like the easiest understandable rule. Like you don't need the finger to pop off like it happened at CFFC 79, 89. Just an injury. Rose versus the French bitch. They could have called that one because of her finger, because that was an injury within the fight.
As you can tell here, we're very politically correct. So feel free to also be politically incorrect, but just don't be an asshole. That's all.
I also don't remember her name. Was it Mano? Manio?
Firo.
There we go. Okay, so it's not even Manio.
Well, that's her first name.
Okay.
Manon. Yeah, I could tell you're very interested in her. Yeah, so going back to some of the questions that are coming in, De La Cruz is just yeah, he lost the first round for sure, and he's well on his way to losing.
I mean, he won the fight in the first round.
Well, he won in the first seconds, in the first opening seconds, he won the fight, but unfortunately for him, that shoulder doesn't really seem to be bothering Israelov all that much. He's cruising right now, and we'll see what ends up happening. But he's firmly in control of this fight right now. And also, De La Cruz does not really seem to have much of an answer for any of this grappling right now. And Israelov, he's landing a lot of really nice elbows as well. Seems to be able to just kind of do whatever it is that he wants to do. And it looks like De La Cruz is just kind of hanging on for dear life at this point.
I think do you think Chen Chen will do this to Paulo Costa? I think Costa wins.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that is something that is worth discussing further. Why?
If he makes weight.
Okay. Well, you could also say that about. Well, you could say that about both of them. To be fair.
Yeah. No, I think more so.
Is it because he has pretty hair and we're both bald? Is that why?
That's part of it.
Okay. At least we're honest. We don't bullshit here. We're honest.
Well, no, I think Paulo. If Khamzat Burns didn't happen, and you realized how human Khamzat is, I think it's possible. But I also bet Leach. I bet Burns. Basically, I'm due for Khamzat to lose. It's just, I think it's one of those things where he's either going to come out like a freight train. That first 20, 30 seconds, it's going to be an instant burst.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, I think even if Kevin Holland would have even survived that instant boost, I think Kevin could have took that fight better than what happened. Instead, he got basically wrestled, fucked, and then choked out within like a minute.
Well, we have Cruz trying to go. Well, he was trying to go for a single. Now it looks like he's trying to go for a double, but good luck. We'll see.
He should probably just stand up.
Yeah, he probably should.
It's probably his best advice right now. Stand up and then not go back down.
Well, so much for that. Now Israelov's going to probably end up taking his back. Oh, nice fence grab there. That's okay.
Israelov was about to do a Jerry Lawler pile driver, but that's illegal. So he said no and just went back to the ground and then grabbed the cage.
All right. What are you saying, John? I want Paulo to win to set up a fight against Strickland, not because it's good for MMA or the division. Okay, fair enough. I'm with that.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't. Feeding off that, I don't want to see Khamzat versus Sean.
Why not? You don't think it's marketable? I think it's very marketable.
People will. I think no matter what you do with Sean right now, will sell. That Sean, not the other Sean.
Yeah.
Deshaun. Yeah, with Deshaun, you know Billy Goff.
We know of him.
I think he actually, before I quote myself, I want to say he fought for the guys behind me. He's Connecticut, so he's probably like CES and all that up north, right?
Yeah, I thought, wasn't he Cage Titans too?
Yep. Cage Titans, CES, and then whatever reality fighting is, which just sounds like a game show.
Total Reality Extreme Fighting 6.
It still sounds better than Peak. It would hurt my soul to see Strickland. Yeah, I'd agree with there too. I mean, I also, if Khamzat wins and wins the title, you're not going to defend it. Just do an interim the next fight because he's not going to defend it.
100%. That's you. Well. To be fair though, you could also say that about Paulo Costa too. You really could, because he's going to need to go back to Turkey to get that second layer of freaking follicle transplant bullshit on his head or whatever he's got going on.
I'm looking to, but I like Turkish food. I can go there and eat and get hair.
Well, maybe we could do like a 2-for-1 kind of deal where maybe both you and me go, and then we can live stream from like Istanbul How about that? I mean, it'll be like 3 in the fucking morning over there by the time the
Hey,
fights go on. But
props to LFA for providing them with some great value water. That's the best water you can buy for the cheap.
indeed.
Yes,
So
they-
I want to know from like the people that are in the chat, what do you guys think about Robert Whitaker? I know, like, it just that hurt my soul to see him like it's so close, and we all know he'll never get like another title fight like anytime soon. It's just not going to happen. We all know that. But I'm just curious, like, with removing him as like a serious title contender, which I don't think he is. I think that's fair to say. My fanboy of Rob Whitaker aside, I think it's a fair statement. But who would you guys like to see Robert Whitaker fight next? He's still one of the more exciting fighters on the UFC roster. It is getting very sloppy down here, and De La Cruz is getting mauled in the middle of the cage, and it looks like this fight is in its dying embers. But anyway, yeah, back to my Bobby Knuckles question. Who'd you guys like to see him fight?
Is it too early to say Bobby Knuckles is the middleweight like Jeff Neal? Like he's going to be that like top 5 gatekeeper now?
That's a valid question. A valid question.
I hate to say that because like
he is just he's defenseless. The ref should probably call this. He's crucifixed right now. Oh well, he got out sort of.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, at some point the ref really needs to kind of pay close attention to this, and I don't mean to shit on the ref. That's not a job I could do, but he seems kind of AFK. Is that just me?
I think you could do it. You could probably pull it off.
I don't know, dude. I think
I can make it. There's a promotion in Philly I can call.
I bet there is. I'm not gonna. I'm not saying one more word.
I can't call. I'm probably blocked if I'm being honest. But
that's an inside joke. If you know, you know. We're not naming the promotion. You either know.
They're not on Fight Pass. They're on like a crowdfunding site. But no, I'm also curious. So when De La Cruz loses his fight, can he appeal it? I mean, and you can appeal any fight, but would the commission care?
So, John, I do have a question for you. I have heard that Texas reffing and Texas judging, in particular, Texas judging is highly sus. Now, I'm not from Texas, and I only occasionally watch Fury FC. But can you agree, disagree with that? I'd love to hear what you have to say on the state of that. Roman Dolidze versus Bobby Knuckles. I'm down with that.
I don't hate it.
That's cool.
Hey, his shoulder's still injured.
Yeah. I don't imagine that's going to... Sus, but not as sus as Missouri. Okay.
Yeah. To give an idea about the judging as well, literally the last like fight of the card or the prelims.
Jonathan, who winning? Israelov won the last fight. If you're just tuning in, it was a complete mauling.
So no, he got waived off for the TKO finish because De La Cruz decided to block punches with his face and took about like 25 unanswered strikes while on the ground. And then pretty much as soon as like the ref called it off, I actually want to say it was probably the ref pushing him off, redislocated that shoulder.
It totally was a 10-8. It was totally a 10-8. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. Sorry, I'm responding to what John said.
So even in the first, he himself waves it off. The fighter says, "No mas," like no, and the ref was like, "Wait, just time out."
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, then he finishes it with the same shoulder or the same arm. I'm pretty sure the ref like pushes. Yeah, the ref then that's not enough effort. It is his celebration that basically repops it out.
Yeah, that was a mauling. I'm glad that fight's over.
Twice.
Yeah, indeed.
That left arm finished the fight twice.
Yeah, it did. Cooked.
But I mean, I think also, I mean, it does suck too. That's De La Cruz's first pro loss.
Yeah, that's
And
unfortunate.
he finished it within the first 6 seconds by injury.
That's unfortunate. So one of the things that I kind of want to see, like shifting our conversation back to like um, the UFC is, and you know our conversation regarding the middleweight division. Like I just feel like that is like the division that I'm looking at. I'm like, man, like I think we're right on the cusp of that like turning over, and I think we're right on the cusp of seeing some really cool things. And obviously, you know, we can't help but think about like Bo Nickel. That's obviously the first person that we think about in that division. But the other person that I think could like really achieve something special, that Brazilian guy, Cal Baralho, with like the
Mhm.
throat tattoos, the nerdy guy. I think he's a G. And Fluffy, he's another G. That I mean, if I'm these guys, they're all unranked. To the best of my knowledge, all of them are unranked. Like I feel like we could see a lot of really interesting fights between that 10 to 15 peg, the lower part of the middleweight rankings, and then some of the top unranked guys, like some of which I just mentioned. And then depending on what your opinion is on RoboCop, there's all sorts of really interesting fights that could be made there.
And I was also out of the names you just named, only Hernandez is 15th.
Oh, so he is ranked. Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
and I think he got in there either from Brunson leaving,
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah, that would totally make
and you
sense.
figure
But
right below him then is people like I guess you'd have to say Joe Piper ahead of Andre just because of the fights he's been given or
yeah,
the trajectory probably.
yep.
And even if you base off of this season of Contender Series as well, you right
Hmm.
there you have how far can Zach Reese go? I think Zach could easily right now be lower top 15.
You think so?
Um, Based on who's on there, you have people like Chris Curtis,
You think
Andre Muniz.
You think Zach Reese beats Chris Curtis?
I think the way Zach starts, I think he could basically bum rush him, throw him off guard. He won't look like PFL Chris Curtis, where it's just like he looks confused.
Yeah.
But I think like he needs that. He doesn't need a whole round, but he needs like 2 minutes to really start getting warmed up, and then he just knows how to play the game.
Hmm.
Like if he connects them correctly, he can get the knockout. But he's basically heading toward a decision, and he knows how to make it look as perfect as possible.
So, um, for if you're new here, first off, thanks for joining the stream. We really appreciate you guys. If you aren't subscribed to myself or Zach, we'd really appreciate your support if you could. For the edification of the chat, Zach and I were talking a lot about the UFC, but we're actually regional MMA guys. We know way more about regional MMA. Zach, CFFC, and then probably me for Cage Warriors. And then LFA is just kind of like our adopted child that we both agree doesn't suck. So we are, hence why we're here and why we're doing this live stream. But if there's any CFFC questions or any regional MMA questions, feel free to throw those in the chat as well. Zach and myself, uh, we always love to chat about regional MMA.
Who's going to win this Fernandez fight?
So don't ask me, John. I am very biased. I've been watching Kevin Fernandez fight since his pro debut for a couple of years. He's a fighter I sponsor, so of course you know what I'm going to say. So Zach's probably the better person to ask that question to. But I will say this: it's a tough matchup for him. This is not an easy fight for him. And the one interesting tidbit about Kevin, I think it's okay to say it now, but well, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'll say it anyway. Kevin's never put on a gi before, ever. Like not one time. And this kid's out there, and his wrestling is crazy. His grappling is excellent. And in his it was his first or second pro fight, he gets a submission victory. And I want to say it was off of like a jiu-jitsu brown belt. So this kid's very special. And I'm biased. I have rooting interests, so don't ask me, John. But if you want a more neutral answer, you should ask Zach that question. What's up, MMA Holes? Thanks for showing up.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
MMA. Definitely a fan over those guys. But no, back to Fernandez. Probably could have been debated for co-main event on this card. I think the co-main is the proper one, so maybe the fight that leads into the co-main. Being second fight is a little weird, but I guess it also makes sense though if you're going to do like where do you put the female fight? I think splitting the card makes sense because if we're being honest, if you start a card with women's MMA, no one's running to get to the first fight.
Whoa, interesting. I don't know if that's accurate. So they only have Richie as minus 260. That's not correct. There's no way that's correct.
Yeah, I think that is. I mean, I'm checking what other website they're pulling from, but
earlier this
week,
earlier this week, guys, he was minus 1,000 against this same opponent, Darian Chapman. So I'm very curious. You might want to double check your book and make sure that's accurate. If you can get Richie Miranda at minus 260, do it right now. Yeah, Rich, because that sounds right to me. Yeah.
Who won the Cruz fight? Not Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz. Well, he won, but he didn't win. So maybe Zach, you want to fill them in on that?
Yeah, there was a shoulder popped out in the first round that should have been called off. The fighter called it off. It's Texas, so rules don't matter. And then they basically just like paused the fight, restarted because it was back in, and then De La Cruz kind of got beat for the next 14 minutes. So it got waved off right before the 2.5 mark.
So if you're going with Fernandez and Ward to close out the card, you are betting with the favorites. I want to say I know Landry. Last time I checked, Landry was minus 210, so that may have he may be a bigger favorite now, but that's still a pretty good deal. Landry Ward for minus 210. That's not something to complain about. I was surprised it was that low. So Darian Chapman, this guy was a late replacement. Initially, Richie Miranda, I want to say, was supposed to fight James Hay. And when I was doing research for this one, Chapman was plus 700. And I talked a little bit about Richie Miranda before, and I will again if you're just now joining us. Richie Miranda is a guy that I've been tracking really closely over the past few years. He trains out of a gym called The Den in California, and his coach, you're about to see it here in a little bit, he is about to pimp slap Richie right before he jumps in the cage. But he's a really special fighter, a pressure wrestler, and that's something that you could expect from Richie. And enters the cage here against Chapman. Expect him to go into that wrestling well. Expect him to shoot on this guy and go for a finish. Whether it be through ground and pound or submission. I'll be very surprised if this fight gets out of if it gets out of the very first round. I've been hyping this guy up a lot, but if you've never seen him fight before, you're about to find out why I feel that way about him.
So here's the fun one. So you could have got, Richie was at minus 2,000, but under 2.5 rounds is minus 180. So you could, if you figure he's going to get a finish, you could still get decent odds on Richie Miranda right now. Which is shocking.
So, again, if you're just now showing up to the stream, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, Richie Miranda to win. That's how I have it. I don't know. I won't speak for Zach, but I'm pretty sure he would agree with that. A special fighter, and he's a guy that I named my 2022 prospect of the year. He's about to get pimp slapped right here, and let's see if he gets a good one or not.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, you got two.
I think not Tony Ferguson was asking if Richie won, but
sorry.
Yeah.
No, not yet. We're about to get there.
Yeah, I think probably a late first round stoppage. you kind of have to when you're minus 2,000. I don't want to
Yeah.
see you like go to a decision. But then, like Rich Curtin said as well, what you were about to comment on, like that's super. Like I would at least expect like a closer to minus 1,000 on under 2.5 because at that point you're only betting against 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. No,
Um,
the odds definitely don't make sense. And then Zach brought up a really good point with regional MMA. You're not always able to do parlays, so definitely check your book with that. And that's kind of the shitty thing about regional MMA is oftentimes just the value really isn't there if you can't parlay. So if you can't, and if you aren't with prop betting, don't bet on this fight. It's not worth it.
I mean, under 2.5, like, it makes sense at minus 180 though.
Yeah, well, I said if you're not into prop betting, if you
Yeah.
if your book doesn't allow that, or if you're just not with that, prop betting is really the only thing that makes sense here.
Yeah, even if you add Richie right now to a parlay, you're going up like plus 0.001, maybe plus 0.002.
Yeah. What is that, like 4 cents? Is that really worth it?
It's like 2 cents for every 100.
Yeah. Yeah, is
like,
that really
congratulations. I'm glad you bet that much that you made something off of it.
Yeah, I could probably find that in the parking lot at work.
Like, or at Hard Rock and AC.
Yeah, there we go.
You never know what you find at your feet.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you there this year or in the spring. I don't know yet. We'll see. I had to get a new washing machine. My wife busted our washing machine. That was like $800 to get a new one. Can you believe that?
We discussed a little bit ago about getting a new fridge.
So. Dude, they're really expensive. Like anything halfway decent is, well, it depends on what you want. Like you want the water, right? You got to get the water, especially for someone like you. The water in the fridge, that's a necessity. You know what I mean?
I live on a well. Like, I don't need to.
Oh, what?
All that doesn't take up space. And
okay, well then you can get like, a shitty refrigerator for $800 then. I'm fancy though. I want my water right out of the fridge.
It's a good thing I can't paste pictures in here or you'd be seeing Yanni the Greek.
Don't ban me, bro. Hey, you know what? Props to Chapman, I have to tell you, though, for taking this fight. Richie's red from getting pimp slapped from his coach. I'm expecting some jabs and then a quick level change. Let's see if I'm right.
Yeah, first kick is a low blow. Yeah, I mean, so far, the air's getting punched more than either guy. Fight just started, Smooth Will.
And we got our takedown. Did you know this guy fought Blake Builder in 2019? Darian Chapman.
Was
did.
that
2019?
That's
lost by decision.
Before his CFC debut.
Yep, lost by decision. There's a fun fact about Darian Chapman.
I just restarted my stream because you were a little bit ahead of me now. I love how streams do that, where I was ahead of you and then now you're ahead of me.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
because I said takedown.
When you said takedown, he just shot for it.
Oh yeah, where are y'all watching this link? Please. So we are watching this on UFC Fight Pass. And looks like Richie's about to end the fight. He's got back mount, and he's and this guy's just shelling up. The fight's about to be over.
Yeah,
it's over. First round finish, which is exactly what Zach and I were saying was going to happen. I think everyone in the chat was pretty much on board with that, whether you expressed that or not.
But there was one person who said that they were on the other side.
For Chapman?
Maybe I don't think it was a bet. Smooth Will, let's go, Darian.
Oh, right on.
So I mean, that could be one of his friends or so on too.
Yeah. Hey, props to him for taking this fight. you know, hey, that's all I can say. Richie's a dangerous guy, and you guys saw that right here, especially if you haven't seen him compete before.
Well, he was on.
Wrestling's his bread and but his bread and butter, though. That's exactly what he wants to do, and he was able to implement the game plan. He was able to do exactly what it is that I expected him to do. And this was a tune-up fight for Richie. He lost to Keegan Genrick his last go out, and he just wanted to end the year on a good note. And I would expect for him to get a really difficult fight next. Probably, if I had to guess, he'll probably return to the cage in early 2024.
Yeah, he's probably right there on the edge also of a contender series shot. Probably another one or two more.
One more. Yeah, he needs at least one more. An interesting fact is I will need to be fact checked for this, but I'm pretty sure the LFA lightweight champion right now is Javier Garcia. I'm pretty sure.
I think
someone fact check me on that. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's either the interim. Maybe he's the interim champ, but I'm pretty positive Javier Garcia is the LFA. He's the LFA lightweight champion of some degree.
I think, because I think the LFA lightweight champion is who did Daniel Allen 30-27 on the contender series.
Oh, I don't remember right away. But someone fact checked me on that. I want to say it's Javier Garcia. And Javier Garcia used to be at his gym, but he left, and now he's with a different gym. Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Jacoby Jones is the lightweight champion.
Then what am I talking about? Javier Garcia. I thought he won an LFA title. Didn't he? Maybe it was a different weight. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? The mariachi guy.
Featherweight.
So he dropped down. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm fake news. Disregard everything I said.
Yeah, because I remember the Daniel Allen, because that was the whole point, was he 30-27, like the LFA champ, and LFA can't hold on to lightweights. Like they win the title, they're signed right away.
So I stand corrected. Jacoby Jones. Apologies to Big Toe. He is the. So it'll be interesting. The Tulunzik Frunza fight that they're talking about right now kind of made me wonder, because a lot of the Factory X guys are going to be on that card. And I'm just curious, what's gonna happen with Jones. I thought Jones just had a rough night at the office. He's a very special fighter, in my opinion. I think he'll go back on a short notice within the next year or so. I like that guy a lot. I think he's very talented.
Yeah, he just had that whole night where nothing fired.
Yep.
So
it was a tough matchup for him for sure. Zach, I want to ask you a question about flyweights, and I want to ask you. You and I agree on this one, and I want to hear what the rest of the chat has to say. Who are your guys' top 3 flyweight prospects in regional MMA for any promotion? Zach and I think we agree that Immortal Lotus is probably our number 1.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what else you guys think about Immortal Lotus, or if there are any other flyweight champions out there that we need to know about. But I think I speak for both of us when I say Immortal Lotus is number 1.
Yeah, I think he needs just one more. I think he gets signed directly. I don't even think that's a contender series. I think one more and he'll get added in.
Yeah.
Outside of that, as far as that, the promotions he fights for, I think that's kind of locked down on that division now too. Everyone else is right there on the cusp of being the next go-to guy, but Lotus, obviously either defend his title or a third Fight Pass title, which I don't think they would do.
I don't think so.
Either the promotion he's a champion in, or I don't even think Fight Pass would want that, because it sounds cool when you say it yourself, but when you go to market that, no one's going to really care that you were a multi-regional champion.
So, guys, I want to pivot real quick. Let me get your thoughts on flyweight prospects. I'd love to hear that. But Zach and I think Immortal Lotus is probably our number 1. I'd love to hear if there's a contrary opinion. This is interesting. It's interesting that it's 140-pound catch weight. I know a few things about Melissa Croden. So I'll drop a few knowledge nuggets out here. She's from Alberta, Canada, and she recently relocated to Texas. I don't think it was permanently. I think it was just a temporary thing. I could be wrong, but she's getting work in with Desiree Yanez and Haley Cohen right now. So that's the gym that she's been with specifically for this camp. I want to say like it was earlier this summer that she relocated from Alberta to Texas. So she's been getting some like serious training in and some really good looks. And in the past, being from Alberta, not necessarily an MMA hotbed, I'm expecting to see the very best version of this chick that that I've ever seen before. She's a special fighter. She's very dynamic. She's a very gifted striker. And if you haven't seen her fight against Cavalcanti, definitely check that out, and you'll get an appreciation of what it is that she can do. I'm expecting her to use her kicks early and often for this fight. When I think about her opponent, Katarina Leonard, I think of just kind of basic. I think of boxing mostly. So I'm not really expecting a lot of takedowns for this. I'm expecting this to be a fan-friendly, a striking matchup. But when I think of Melissa, I think of like Muay Thai. I think of elbows. I think of like kicks. She'll throw low kicks a lot, body kicks, head kicks, as you can see from this replay. Cavalcanti was just sharper that night, but I don't have anything but positive things to say about her. She's very gifted, and her record is 4-2, so she really needs this win. This is like of massive importance to her, and she needs this to stay on the UFC radar.
Yeah, Smooth well mentioned also, which I didn't know. Lotus and Brandon Moreno are the same age.
So that doesn't surprise me because I knew Brandon Moreno. He was like the only UFC champion in his 20s. Well, when he was the champion. Sorry, that's a sore spot for a lot of people. I know a lot of people dig Moreno.
Him winning the belt won me a lot of money, so I was all for it.
For sure. But yeah, I'm curious to see like for a lot of people may not remember the name, but like they're gonna remember this face. Katarina Leonard, like she was on The Ultimate Fighter a few years ago. That didn't really go according to plan. She was an Invicta veteran as well. Put in a random local girl in front of her and she'll get the job done. It's just she's always seemed to struggle with that like next level up in competition, right? So for her, if she can pull this win off, it would be one of the bigger wins in her professional career for sure. But she's running out of time, and she has an 8-4 record, mostly because of what she did in the past when she was fighting a bunch of local girls.
John Davis with the good old Invicta throwback that he's seen Leonard fight before because she lost to Catalina Bernardo.
Yep.
Which Invicta, that's a fun promotion as well.
I'm surprised it's still a thing. I don't know if I'm we'll be blunt here. We're all amongst friends. I'm surprised it's still a thing. I wish them the best. I hope they stick around. But it's going to be harder and harder to run that promotion with PFL, and PFL being very aggressive with the females. I mean, they've hijacked pretty much anyone who's somewhat decent that the UFC didn't put on Contender. They're under a PFL contract, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, they announced their whole fake division, the PFLW, that they have not mentioned since announcing it.
Yeah, I think that was a
marketing
thing.
It's there. Just believe me, it's a thing.
That might go the way of the dodo bird. We'll see.
Yeah, or the middleweight division.
So we'll see Melissa Croden here. She's got the age advantage. She's got the height advantage and a little bit of a reach advantage as well.
Yeah, as John said, Invicta's putting it. They seem to be magically doing shows outside of Kansas too.
They're in Boston for this next card.
I'm curious if they just looked at the fact that did no one want to fight in Kansas? or like what led them to think that was they had to move then because they had that little like fight church for a while, then they had another facility, and it was like the apex. Like they knew they could do a show whenever they wanted.
I think some of it, Zach, has to do with Glory not being a thing. I think that's probably one of the bigger reasons. And they had to find a way that gyms could feed into. And with Boston, there are a lot more options. Kansas City, that whole part of the country, it's kind of a dead zone now. So I felt like they didn't really have a choice. They kind of had to relocate just to make sure that they're able to like get some sort of pipeline coming in. And Glory definitely wasn't it anymore.
Because if you look at any of the regionals who have a home territory, basically,
Yeah.
they have those like 3 or 4 gyms that they just basically go to, and then find it after you get in a fighter, then you find the opponent.
Yeah,
and that would make sense then, because again, Kansas, no one's running to Kansas.
No.
So
I mean, who are the gyms there? I mean, the Colorado gyms, like American Top Team, I think they have a thing in like Oklahoma City, and then maybe some of your North Texas gyms, but but it does seem logistically like a little bit of a hassle. So anyway, I'm really excited about this one. I think this is going to be a really exciting fight. I'm expecting this to be like a stand-up war. And I have Melissa Croden on this one. I think she's just the more dynamic fighter, and that's my lean. We'll see what happens.
I'm curious what made them change the weight class, because I thought this was originally set for an actual division like bantamweight.
It was. That's a great question. That's a great question, because to the best of my knowledge, both of them had like, this isn't like somebody taking it on a short. It's been announced for some time. I would expect Melissa to use low kicks pretty well, especially because Leonard's doing exactly what I thought she would do. She wants that center control, and she's shorter, and she's got a reach disadvantage, so she really needs to get inside. And Croden did a really good job in her last fight with the low kicks, and I'm wondering if she's going to do that again. I wonder if she's going to try to set that up and try to punish Leonard for being aggressive.
And John's joke going to be out, being a ref for a retirement job, and then he said it because he took the Mark Goddard's video course.
Didn't you take it?
I did the judging one.
Oh, okay.
It was nice. It explained a lot of things, but like,
yeah, I saw that. Yep.
I mean, Mark even says in it, like, you can't watch his video and then go be a judge. Like, it basically is just like a more human reading of the actual like rule set of how to judge a fight. And then you're like, it's nice and all, but not $150 nice. Like, I could read the rules, and you're just explaining it.
This is where I'm really curious to see how well Leonard does. When it's like the more technical part of fighting, like when she's like in a clinch, I just feel like based off of the type of girl she's had to fight now, she really hasn't been tested like this. She's really, you put her up against local talent, and she's pretty much able to like be the bully. And when you're seeing somebody who is very comfortable in a clinch, who's very comfortable throwing knees, as Melissa is doing, I'm just curious to see, like, can she frame off, and can she reverse position, now that she's out of her wheelhouse, now that she's no longer boxing. And I think we're starting to see Melissa pull ahead in this one.
Yeah, this is turning out to be very one-sided, because even when she's being held in a clinch, like, she's not fighting it.
Reverse position. That's nice. And this was kind of like the other thing that I was wondering from Leonard, like, if she's just gonna like look to make this like a boxing fight, Melissa will do that all day long. And to beat somebody like Melissa, like you better be able to outstrike her or at least make it like an MMA fight. That was a good hit though. She got a couple nice hits in. But this is what I like seeing. Like I think Melissa's fighting a pretty smart fight. Yeah, and you're right. She did land. Leonard did land a few different combos. We just saw her connect a couple of different times. And yes, Melissa definitely has a little bit of a chin, and she's got heart too. Because watch that Jackie Cavalcanch fight. I mean, she got busted up, but she got back up somehow. I don't know how.
She's gonna be really gassed though in the second because of getting back up and stuff like that.
I do like those knees to the body. That's interesting. But so far, I mean, I have this one for Croden. I mean, I don't unless Leonard does something really spectacular. I think that's an easy 10-9 for Melissa.
Yeah.
And that puts a stamp on it too.
Yeah, it's easily
But Leonard did enough to like stay in it though. I mean, she had some flashes. She had her moments for sure. So she shouldn't be too discouraged. But this is exactly what Melissa needs to do though. She needs to like make this like a technical striking fight. Yep, absolutely. So where else are you guys from? Somebody typed in earlier that they're from Arizona. Where else is everyone from? Except PA. That's not a state, actually.
Technically not. It's Commonwealth.
It's technically not. I don't live in a state either, technically.
New York City again.
Arizona, another Arizona. Okay. What is it like? Freaking like 8 million degrees outside. I'm from California. Where at in California? I'm originally from San Diego. Not anymore though. Ooh, nice kick. So if you're, I did have, so Zach, like if you're Leonard, like what do you do based off of how that first round went? Like what kind of adjustments does she need to make to like get this closer?
Well, Leonard also she needs to actually advance, like she's actually trying to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Because like her positioning left her just fucked against the gate, like the cage, because she couldn't advance. And here, I mean, she's not. Once she starts advancing, then she gives up and starts backing up again. Like with these head kicks now, like now she's afraid to do anything else. I don't know. Does she have any wrestling? I've never seen her. Leonard?
No.
All right, so like, I've never seen either of these two, like from memory at least, because like it standing on her feet's not helping her. If she could get it to the ground, maybe she could something. But one, you can tell Crota wants to win, and Leonard is just trying to survive at this point, or already in the second round.
Zach's from Pennsylvania, not me. I live in Northern Virginia in the DC metro area. But I have had the misfortune of meeting Zach in real life. He's pretty intimidating, believe it or not.
A yellow cross casino floors, that's why.
I mean,
Like,
I know it's not her, like, I know it's not in her game plan, and I also know that, like, you look at Melissa and like, she has, like, her knee somewhat bent all the time, so that's, like, kinda something she needs to think about, but for Leonard, like, if this just stays like a boxing fight, I think she's going to get, like, found out. Like, you give Melissa more and more time, she is going to, like, find the range, and, like, she needs to keep moving forward, though. Like, right here, what she's doing right now, like, not advancing all that much, like, that's not good against Melissa.
like
Oh,
I would
trust
hope
me,
by
dude.
now.
I wanna get the hell out of Northern Virginia too. One day.
Like I don't get how you can be halfway through the fight already and not like attempting to change your game plan because you're still
You
doing the
you
same
have to
thing.
do something, 'cause, she's getting I mean, she has her moments, but oh, now she's cut around her eye. So, Rich, I think it just depends on, like, who they put up against her. Like, remember, a lot of the, 35ers are spoken for. They're either already in the UFC, um, or, with, PFL. So, and I say PFL, like, I'm in full recognition that they, ran featherweights, but a lot of the 35ers moved up to fight featherweight with PFL. That's why I say that. So it's kind of, slim pickings out there. Like, they're gonna if you really want to test Croden, you're gonna have to bring in somebody, from, like, Brazil, which is on brand for LFA. That's what they'll do. If they don't want her as their champion, they'll bring in some Brazilian to try to test her. Yeah, I think, speaking for Zach, I think we both have this one, with, 2 rounds to none. If it goes, we're in the second round right now, but I think comfortably Croden's ahead.
Yeah, like, I'm not seeing anything out of Leonard to justify a remote chance of her getting back in the third round.
She's gonna have to let it rip to have a chance. Oh, nice little takedown too. See, I like that. I like how she, like, went for the takedowns, like, strategically. Oh,
Yeah,
now she's oh, I thought she was thinking about the choke for a second. Oh, now she's trying to finish it. Oh, looks like Saved by the Bell. Yes, sir.
yeah, because
She
there's
absolutely is.
no hope on the Leonard corner either. Like you can't say it was a close round
Would I
on
live
either.
in Oh, we have questions in the chat. Would I live in LA? Well, if you're asking, I can't. If you're asking me, no, I would not live in LA. It's too expensive. There's too many fucking people.
Yeah, it's one of those like I would come visit, but
Uh, It's not my favorite.
$6 a
Yeah,
gallon.
I don't know. I try to avoid the People's Republic of California when possible. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm allowed to say that. I was born in California and I spent a lot of my life there. But we are too poor to live in California now. My family all got forced out. Gentrification, Zach. Bastards. All right, so Leonard just needs a finish.
Yeah,
No, Melissa said fuck that. We're not touching gloves. Is there a cut on Melissa's left eye?
mm,
Or is that Leonard's blood? Might be Leonard's blood. I don't know. See a mouse under her eye too. For Leonard, her left eye. He's got a pretty big mouse under that. Oh, nice.
again, like there's nothing from Kat's side at all.
No, there's really. If I'm Melissa, I'm backpacking her right now, and that rear naked choke's probably there.
That is the next fight, right?
Are you
Trevor
talking?
Gwynn.
Oh shit! Am I? Do I have good Wi-Fi? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so I think Rich is aligned with my stream.
Oh, and I'm ahead. My bad. Sorry, guys.
And then where's the one question? It was is the next fight Alden versus Alfarge? Yes, Trevor Gwynn.
Yeah, Croden is got her back. Well, she's got back mount now. It's kind of an awkward position, and Leonard rolled out of it, so now she's in half guard. She could probably get in side control if she wanted to. But you can really see the difference between the two, especially on the ground. And Melissa Croden isn't really what I would call like a jiu-jitsu like shark or whatever. Like she's not, that's not really what she's about. Like she's Muay Thai and kickboxing, that sort of thing. And she's just completely mauling her on the ground here.
So Jorge asked where can he see the fight recap. If you're asking about the replay, that would be UFCFightPass.com. We can't show the fight or replay the fight.
Yeah, they won't like that. We'll get sued.
Like she doesn't even say okay, she's kicking, but there's really no intent to get back to her feet because what
No,
she's
gassed. She
gets back to her feet anyway. She's just gonna get beat up again.
Yeah, she's in trouble for sure. But I mean, is this a? I don't know if this is a 10-8, but it's pretty close.
About fucking time. I mean, yeah, I can't hate the stoppage.
No, not at all.
But that, I mean, that whole fight though, like
this is more or less what I. So I'm not a breaking news bro or anything like that, but I did chat with her a little bit ahead of this fight, Melissa, and this is me speaking, not her. I was just like, I think you are going to figure out a way to find a finish. But I thought the finish would happen on the feet. I didn't think it would happen on the ground. But nonetheless, she did what she needed to do.
yeah, I mean,
and she's like super humble too. She's just like, oh, you think so? Wow, that's, thanks for believing in me. She's like really like chill like that. I really like her. She's a cool person. I've had the pleasure of interviewing her and having her on my show. I think I interviewed her probably like 6 or 9 months ago, something like that. But yeah, pretty cool person. It's good to see that fighting from on the Canadian scene to a bigger stage like this. It's nice to see her have that opportunity. Because remember, LFA debut, Jacqueline Cavalcanch, LFA bantamweight title. I mean, that's a tough debut to make, and that's a good rebound fight for her. Good for her though. That's an important win. I'm curious to see what they bring up next for her because when I think of regional prospects in this weight class, I mean it's pretty thin. Serena's an option potentially, depending on what her contract status is. And they were supposed to fight each other in the past, but it never happened for whatever reason. I don't know the details, but they know each other. That would be an interesting one. I'd like to see that.
That'd be a good one.
And for people in the chat that may not know who I'm referencing, I'm talking about Serena De Jesus. She's an Invicta veteran. I think stylistically, that's a great matchup too, because I think they're both a little. I think they're somewhat similar stylistically. I think that's a fun fight.
It'll be a fun one, and I mean, it's not like Invicta's really locking people down right now, so it's a workable one too.
Yeah. So depending on what the deal is with Serena, that would be a potential fight I'd like to see. I'd like to see that happen, and maybe somebody else in the chat knows more than I do, but as far as I know, LFA had some sort of tentative plans for Las Vegas too. So if that makes even more sense too, because Serena, as I understand it, she's in the Vegas area.
Because I think LFA is the first one to get approved, the Fight Pass promotions.
Yeah,
and I think maybe Favors A1. I think they might have a approval as well.
Yeah, so they were supposed to run, for people who aren't aware, to jump on what Zach was saying, some of the regional promotions had some talks with the UFC, and Zach and I first heard news of this, I want to say earlier in the spring. We heard noise that regional shows might be looking at putting events on in the Apex. And then it kind of dropped off and we never really heard anything of it. But supposedly there's clearance from NSAC and all that other stuff, and everything's been basically agreed upon. It's just a matter of finding out, I guess, a date and time that works.
So you're mixing basically if UFC was doing anything, because you have to make sure they're not utilizing the venue,
right?
And then as a backup plan, if they switch to it, is like the local venues that are smaller, are they open there? But yeah, it never. I thought it would have been great for companies like LFA to come in and they get a show ran by the UFC team versus their own team, just to kind of see what they would have done differently.
Has Favor built? So I'm reading John Davis's question. Mm-hmm. Has Favor built the same kind of promotion as Grant Boylan has with Cage Warriors? So I can answer this question. The person that runs A1 Combat, Uriah Faber's A1 Combat, the head promoter, his name's Tom Anderson. Great guy. That's a brand new promotion. They've only been Uriah Faber's A1 Combat for less than 2 years. So to say that they're at that same level as like an LFA, a CFFC, a Cage Warriors, they're not there yet. They got a ways to go, but they're brand new. Uriah Faber is obviously the face of it, but the benefit of the promotion is it's based out of Sacramento. What's in Sacramento? Team Alpha Male. So they do have a pipeline, and they put shows on in Sacramento and in LA. Those are their two main spots right now. They also ran a few in Tachi Palace. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like what it is that they end up doing. Their very first A1 champion, Peyton Talbot, made it to the UFC recently. So that's huge for them. It's even bigger because he's not an alpha male guy. He's from Nevada in some small gym. So I think that even speaks further to the reach of that promotion, what it is that they're able to do. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But so far in my interactions with them and kind of keeping tabs on what they got going on, I've been nothing but very impressed with them. And it's nice because it gives guys in LA, the Central Coast, even San Diego, like that whole state of California, it gives a lot of those gyms an opportunity to not only to not just fight for Tough Enough in Vegas, right? You have an opportunity to stay on the West Coast and not have to, take a fight in Oklahoma for LFA or whatever. So LFA, yes, they occasionally go to LA, but maybe once a year. So far, I really do. I like the direction in which they're going, but they got some ways to go. I think, but them and APFC, I've been very impressed with both of those promotions. They're both brand new. Zach, I know that you know a little bit about APFC as well. So I don't know if you had anything to say about that.
Well, I think John was actually asking a slightly different one, more so being like how Graham books the fighters he manages.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he was? Is that what Faber was working on doing? Where like all the A1 guys were under his management from Alpha Male, and I think they did when they first started. I mean, they're only about 2 years in, but they already started kind of backing away from that. That's what his follow-up one was about, how it sounded like Faber is building that pipeline.
Yeah, so I know that they have their own promotion as well, and then the other thing of it is like I don't know where MMA Gold comes into play here, because like a lot of those fighters from Alpha Male, they are with MMA Gold as well. And to the best of my knowledge, that's separate from Uriah Faber. That's Aspen Ladd's significant other is like the main force behind that, to the best of my knowledge. Don't ignore my challenge question. What's the question?
Don't say, is that the who wins last two fights, as in co-main and main?
Well, there are three fights left.
Yeah, that's why I was like, if he was asking all three or the last two.
We'll let you know when we get there, player. Not like Uriah's feeding cans to his guys, but legit developing. Yeah, I mean, so I asked that question. I did, if you, not to do a shameless plug of my own podcast or whatever, but you'll see about a year ago, I interviewed the head promoter, and I more or less asked that question. Like, hey, listen, you put Uriah Faber's name on this, and you automatically said that you're more or less like, all the Alpha Male guys are A side and everyone else is going to be B side. Your response to that? And, he adamantly told me that wasn't the case, and they, that's not their intent. But you'd be the judge for yourself, I mean, that's what the head promoter said, and he's going to say that. So you be the judge for yourself, but they put up Alpha Male guys and they lose all the time. So
Tim Elliott just hyping his next fight.
He's with Next Generation MMA in Frisco, Texas now. He's with Lucas Brennan's dad. I found out. Former Glory MMA guy. That name seems to be coming up a lot tonight.
Yep, so the next fight is on the out in Korea, Aaron Lafarge fight.
Okay, so Zach is limited in what he can say because he sponsors Aaron Lafarge, just for the edification and disclosure for all. But I looked at this fight, and this is for me. I don't have a dog in this fight, and people might say I'm biased too because they'll look at my recent interviews and see that I interviewed Aaron Lafarge. But honestly, I don't give a shit if you interview with me. I'm going to bet on who I'm going to bet on, and at plus 175, I think Lafarge is the right pick. That's what I would. That's how I would bet this one. Alden Correa, he's a very interesting fighter. I would categorize him as being a striker, but the one thing that I've noticed is he sometimes struggles against wrestlers. He sometimes struggles against the grapplers, and that's what Aaron Lafarge is. He is going to be a high pressure wrestler, and we'll see what ends up happening. But look at who Correa has fought in the past. Joseph Camacho is one of those guys, and we know that he likes to grapple, he likes to wrestle. And when you start looking at those losses, he really hasn't proven to me that he can beat a wrestler yet. And Aaron Lafarge, I mean, he is a guy that's exactly what he's going to tap into right away. Just like how we saw Richie Miranda, he's going to tap into that wrestling. He's going to pressure him. Aaron Lafarge is only going to take a step back if he gets clipped with something. Like, he's going to keep that pressure on this entire fight. And, Alden Correa, he's only 24, 25 years old. And it's do or die time for Aaron because he's running out of time. He's 31, 32 years old. He needs to make a run now. His two losses, he lost to, well, you'll have to remind me, Zach, because he's lost 3 times. But one of them was against James Clark, who was a great wrestler. He lost against Cody Davis, another wrestler. Who was the other lost to?
That's the only one I know off the top. Let me see real fast. Yeah, James Clark, Cody Davis, and then Hugo Aranda. He does not fight anymore, but the other two, James is like one of the top flyweights in Canada, if not the in Canada. And then Cody Davis is the LFA flyweight champion. So I mean, the two he lost to are good names to lose to in the regionals.
No, I mean, you can say your words. We're not. No one's butthurt. We're good. But and that was another reason why I looked at this fight, because I looked at Aaron Lafarge and I was like, okay, well, so he's losing to other wrestlers, but this is a fight that I know he wants this fight, because he's like, thank God I'm not fighting another wrestler for a change. I get to fight a striker, and this is the type of matchup that Aaron Lafarge wants. And I think he does have that X factor because of that sense of urgency. Like I said before, he's in his early 30s. He hasn't been the most active fighter, and now's the time to make a run. Like, he is running out of time. Alden Correa loses this fight. Honestly, it's not that huge of a deal. He drops to 6-3. He's only 25 years old. He could stick around with LFA. He could fight in Fury FC. He's a Houston guy anyway, so it's surprising that he's already that he's not on a multi-fight deal with them. I don't think he's 29. I think that's an error there, because Tapology has Alden Correa at like 25, and Aaron Lafarge at 32, unless he just had a birthday. But from when I last looked at this. But in any event, despite that height differential, the reach is pretty close. It's not a huge reach advantage for Correa. But I looked at this, and Zach, I just not being biased, I was like, I think Lafarge, if I had to put money on this fight, I think Lafarge is the right pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely rate of competition is slightly better on Aaron's side. I mean, there's a reason why, though, Alden accepted this rebooking. When it was originally booked, Aaron had a rib injury that pulled him out of the fight. So Alden saw something either that he thinks he can exploit and say he beat a former champion. I think it's also Aaron has also been out for a year.
Yeah.
So on the odd side, I understand where the odd makers came from, but I think it's an Aaron fight, name and sponsorship aside.
Yeah. But hey, Alden Correa, I like this kid. He's very impressive, and I like what I've seen. Tapology, for what it's worth, has Lafarge at 5%. I'm part of that 5%. And for the last LFA fight, not that it matters, but I picked Bobby Lee, and I think he was right around 5% too. I picked him in the co-main event against Lucas Clay. So, it's one of those things like Tapology. It's like, well, of course, Lafarge is only 5%, because all of the Texas homies going to the fight went on Tapology and picked their boy before it happened. So, I don't know. I could look like a total asshole if Correa wins, and he could win this fight. But I'm just saying, like, in my estimation, I would pick Aaron, because stylistically, I think it's the right matchup for him.
Yeah, Trevor, the fight just started. About a minute in the first round so far. Just a standard minute of testing out so far.
And there's the shot right away. I like how he's scrambling, though, making him go to the fence. Yeah, like, honestly, so John's asking a question, or making a comment rather, about picks and what people say on Tapology. And Tapology, honestly, is just like, a freaking shit sandwich. I really try not to pay too much attention to that. It's just really a de facto popularity contest. That's everyone just picks the guy that they've heard of and shit on the person that they've never heard of. So,
and then they're right for an upset, they come back and do the whole "I told you so."
Yeah, pretty much.
Almost as bad as MMA, the subreddit on Reddit. Yes, almost as bad.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, look, 4 ounces to freedom on his shorts. How about that?
Yeah, I know that guy. Joe likes to compliment our great coverage of the fight, and says pathetic because he expected a better fight companion app because he can't read the top.
Oh,
But yeah, you're welcome, Joe. There's like 3,000 others you can go watch. So Aaron's still kind of chasing a full takedown with control.
yeah. But so far, I mean, this is exactly what he needed to do. I mean, this was the game plan. Like, he wasn't going to fight out of character. He was going to uh, engage in the wrestling right away, and we're seeing that game plan go out. The only thing, though, that I don't like is for Aaron, it's like that's great that you have control, but like, where's the damage?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what you need to see, and that's where it can get a little dicey. Is because we've all seen fights before where you'll have a guy that gets the control the entire time, he doesn't do damage, and then he loses the fight because Correa has been very active. He's been throwing elbows. He's been the one that's been trying to inflict the damage, whereas Correa has been the one that's been trying to get control. So
yeah, and those elbows are like nailing. They're not even just like they're not just for touching. They're definitely causing damage, but he's still so committed to getting that takedown that he's pushing through it.
Joe, I hope you get AIDS. And I banned him. We don't need that negativity.
Did you do like go to actually YouTube to do that, or were you?
I don't know. I just clicked on the 3 dots and it said I could ban him, so I banned him.
I just thought if I clicked it, it would make it all big on the screen. But back up to the feet, obviously, and this is where that dude's been coming out for like three counts now too. I thought he was going for a cage grab there, but he just slipped.
So what do you guys think about this? Like, is Correa winning the first round based off of damage output? Or do you give it to, assuming he doesn't get this guillotine check that he's trying to do? How would you score that? Oh, that's illegal. He just nailed them in the head.
It may have been body, like just under his chin, basically, but it definitely looked illegal.
I mean, he's going for that single. Like, how do you score that? Because, like, objectively, I look at this and you can make an argument and say that Correa was the one that was doing the more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't really argue if you say that you think Correa won that first round. I don't think I have an argument for that. I agree, John. I think Correa 10-9 based off of that. I think the especially trumps the control.
And if you mix in the fact too, like he never secured a takedown, so even all that work was a waste of effort because it never got him down. Yeah. And I mean, you can even look in the corner; he looks a little defeated already, and I hate to say that.
Objectively, I think you have to give that to Correa.
Yeah,
first round. And and that's the thing with Aaron, and that's kind of what I wondered a little bit about when I'm having flashbacks to James Clark. Like that was just like they were grappling, and they each had their moments, but there really wasn't a lot of damage there. And if I was going to give any constructive criticism to Aaron, it would be, well, that's great that you have the position, but you have to do something with the damage.
Yeah, anyone who didn't see the Lafarge Clark fight, like. It was a 15-minute grapple match, and one led first round, one led the second round, and third round Aaron was gassed, and it just made it. His accomplishment was getting to the end because that fight was they were both gassed. It was a hard to watch third round, and it's kind of he's playing right into that same game plan too, where he's not getting his first plan and doesn't have a second one to follow up now.
Yep. Okay, we have a question in the chat. Who's winning so far? I think we're all on Correa. I think we're all saying we have Correa winning the first round 10-9. Lafarge did great. I mean, he was doing well with the grappling. He was doing fine with the wrestling, but we didn't like that there was not a lot of damage there for Aaron. And I also don't like how he's backing up. He needs to keep the pressure on to win this fight. He's not going to get a takedown backing up.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with getting the single, but he needs to do something with it. Not to be a dick.
Even if he can just work him on the ground here and not even get a lot of damage, just tire him out by being on top and being heavy.
Yep. But it seems like all of his body weight's on his lower body and not on his chest, so it's not going to affect Correa's breathing at all.
Yeah, and the refs at least not letting them just stay in this position either.
Yeah.
I think it would be up to Correa if he wants to stay there because he's getting the damage. He's getting points.
He's getting points. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's not good. That can't feel good. I think we've all seen fights too where you see someone get slapped. They get their ear slapped and then their cauliflower ear freaking explodes. That's freaking cool.
It looks like Alden's gonna get back to his feet.
Yeah. I'm not listening to any of the audio, so I can't hear what's being said. But yeah, that's validating if they said that. But see, and I understand that Alden is probably he wants to scoot to the cage, and I know that's not where Aaron wants it. Aaron wants the grappling exchanges to happen in the center, but again, this is what's a little frustrating right now. Is because he's running out of time, and I'm looking at Alden Correa, and he looks pretty to me. I don't see any marks on him. I don't see any lacerations. He needs to do something.
Yeah,
and holding him against the cage like this isn't really. It's not doing anything for him at this point. Like by default, you have to give this to Correa too, because what's Aaron doing?
Because even when he's getting the takedowns, he's making no transitions, no movement. I mean, here again, he's pushing to the cage. He could be at least kneeing the knee and all to kind of weaken the legs. And he gets to take that afterwards anyway. But still, again, nothing's being done here.
No. Good. I'm okay with that. Aaron doesn't like that.
And he looks already exhausted.
He looks exhausted. Yeah.
Which, I mean, you figure he's been out for almost 14 months now.
Yeah, a little over that.
And then once he start coming back, he had the injury, so you had to recover that before you started training.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, that cut him bad. Damn. Props to Alden Correa. So what can you say? I mean, that was impressive. That was impressive. Congratulations to him. I know that's a tough loss for for Aaron, but especially for a young guy like this, that's a major box he just checked by beating a wrestler like that. But I do think Aaron's going to look back on this fight, and I think he's going to be pretty upset because I think he's going to see a lot of the same tactics that didn't go his way for James Clark, and I think he's going to see a lot of that here. Beautiful knee. That was beautiful. Good stop. No complaints with that.
It actually worked out too. That punch missed on the ground too, because that would have been unnecessary damage that didn't need to happen. But
hey, give the it's easy to shit on the ref, but they don't ever really get told they do a great job, and that was a freaking great stoppage. So gotta give credit to him. So all right, so that's my first L of the night. I had I picked Lafarge for that one. But hey, you gotta give it to Alden Correa. I mean, holy shit. He just went out there. That was probably one of his more impressive victories. In order like to do that against a guy like Aaron, that's pretty impressive. I mean, you guys all saw firsthand how good of a wrestler he is. But the problem though is just it's just there wasn't any damage output, and that's something that Aaron's gonna have to work on moving forward. So we'll see what happens to him. But hey, that's an impressive victory for Alden Correa, 7-2. And he needed to get this win over a veteran like that to kind of like stay in that LFA sort of like consideration for being in the Cody Davis sweepstakes, and that's exactly what he did.
And kind of going to some of the questions or comments here, like John Davis got Captain Obvious statement, but why did no one ever try that with Khabib? Khabib has a weird shot when he shoots. Like he's able to stop that and turn it at mid shoot. I mean, I think that's how he would have eventually lost if he would have kept fighting. Like the Jorge Masvidal Ben Askren thing. That's not too uncommon. It's just the fact that it happened 5 seconds into the fight.
Yeah.
And then back to the fighter fast. Like he's pointing out that he wants Cody Davis next.
Well, of course he does.
So, I mean, good win for him. It's going to help his regional career.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very important win. Very important win for him. And hey, congratulations to him.
And then Trevor Gwynn, cut his comment that, sounded like the same Aaron who was just, trying to wrestle, not really have mixed the martial arts.
Yeah.
Then what happened? He was, Correa was advancing through like 2 feints, and then Aaron went to shoot, and then he threw up the knee. And
it was a beautiful knockout. It really was. I mean, you really have to give full credit to Correa for nailing that. I mean, perfectly timed.
Yeah, it landed like what Peter Yan to Aljo. Like it was that instant impact that just sent him back.
But legal.
Yeah. Like that was the whole thing. Like, when it happened, I was like, that kind of looked like I was wondering when he shot, was his knee down, and that's what the trajectory was. But yeah, everything was legal. He was fully off the ground, and but that's how hard the impact was. It just shot him right back. And then Johan Higos asked who won. If it was the Lafarge fight you're asking about, Correa won. If there's others, check Topology because those are old now.
Yeah, they'll be on there soon. But so far, to the best of my knowledge, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the betting favorites have won.
Yeah, it's been all the favorites, kind of who they either wanted to win. There was some of the, I guess the first fight was a pick'em, so there was no real favorite or not favorite there. And that was the only one where I thought if it was a underdog, it was like by a 1 or 2 point underdog. It wasn't even like a different odds watch. Outside of that,
Yeah.
yeah, it was all the favorites.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that was really impressive. And I think about him getting that knockout. I mean, what a statement. Oh, here we go. A Vegas announcement. Palms. There we go. There we go. We were just talking about
Yeah.
that. They're in Vegas, December 15th. That's not the Apex that we talked about, but okay, cool. The Virgin Hotels also seems like a really cool venue too. So I know PFL ran a show there, and
Mhm.
I know that there might be that's another potential venue for other promotions to think about. It wouldn't surprise me if they run a fight from there too.
Then I want to ask who we have in the next one. I feel we're probably unanimous on this one. Kevin Fernandez by finish. I'd even go that farther and say by finish under. I don't know if I'll go under 1.5, but I'll go under 2. We don't see a third round, and then in the main event, I have Landry. I don't know who you have.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
especially if you mix in the fact that I think you said, or someone said in the chat earlier, like Walker missed weight.
I said that. Yeah, he did. He missed by like, it wasn't terrible, but he missed by like a little over a pound.
Rich Curtin says the first underdog of the night is about to hit now. So
he's on Camacho. Okay. Camacho's a good fighter, man. He what his only loss is against Cody Davis. So hey, I don't, not gonna get a tongue lashing for me. I understand why you'd pick him. He's got that track record. He beat Alton Correa.
I would say, who would you say who gets the next title shot, the co-main or the Correa?
So that's So if Camacho wins, I don't know if you give him that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's already fought Cody Davis before, and Cody beat him. For that to be a real question, Kevin has to win,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's Kevin or if it's Correa, honestly, it probably comes down to do you want the true answer? Because the true answer probably isn't very flattering to say. It's who's going to sell me more tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be Correa if we run this in Texas, or is it going to be Fernandez? And I'm going to pick whoever's going to like sell me the most tickets. If you run that fight in LA, then I guess it doesn't matter.
They don't usually fly a lot of the U.S. guys down to the Brazil cards. Those are mainly all Brazilians.
Yeah, those are all 100% Brazilians. Yeah, Camacho's a stud. He is. The one thing I will say about Kevin Fernandez is we always hear oftentimes about like grapplers or wrestlers falling in love with striking. Kevin Fernandez is a striker that I think has fallen in love with grappling and wrestling. I think about him, like he trains out of Lamb Striking Academy, but he also trains at a secondary gym with Kevin Holland and with T-Rex, and that's where he gets a lot of his conditioning work in. A lot of his wrestling, a lot of his grappling comes from that gym as well. But he's a very special prospect. He's been very, very impressive in the past, and this is a really tough fight for him. I mean, Joseph Camacho is not a joke, and that 6-1 record. It's been said in the comments, a lot of green, and not a big deal losing to Cody Davis. I mean, that's if you're going to take a loss, you lose to Cody Davis.
And then John also asked, what do you think the percentage of sold seating is for LFA when they do Texas shows?
What a great question.
It's hard to say, especially with camera angles, because if they know what they're doing. And you're mixing that, how close is this venue to one that Fury runs? You taking that consideration too? Because if Fury runs a card every Sunday, that's going to hurt this. That would hurt tonight's one.
This is our first stream.
Yeah, first stream. I mean,
no. Well, I guess that's not technically true.
First full stream. Last time he hopped on as a guest, and this one we put, I think, 20 seconds of thought into.
Yeah. So, Kevin, I'm sorry, I called you Kevin. Zach and I we were actually not planning on doing a live stream. We were planning on doing a like a preview show that was pre-recorded, and we were just going to throw it up on YouTube. But we had some scheduling conflicts. There were some issues with my schedule. There's some issues with Zach's schedule. So late, I want to say it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. It may have been me, it may have been Zach, but we just kind of like thought on the idea of like doing a live stream. Like, hey, it's too late now to like put out a preview show and do predictions or whatever. Do you want to just do a live stream? And here we are. So yeah, thanks for checking us out, man. Appreciate it. And thanks for everyone for being super cool too. We've only had one troll that we had to kick out. Everyone else has been pretty cool. So I like all the questions. I like the activity. It's cool.
Yeah, poor Joe. He's what makes the sport lame.
And I have to say, my burn, I'm not going to repeat my burn. I liked my burn, too, by the way.
Hopefully he loses the battle.
R.I.P. Joe.
Yeah, so...
And I don't know what it is. But here's another thing that Zach and I were talking about. Every single Thus stream will say that you go onto, why is there always one guy that always says R.I.P. Joe Rogan and spams it throughout the entire fight card? Who is that guy? And why do I always laugh every single time? Every single time somebody says R.I.P. Joe Rogan, and I fucking laugh every time. I don't know why. It's been like the same shit for like the past 4 years, and I'm still laughing. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just that much of a simple creature. It's a possibility.
Nah, I'm good. Sorry. Unban Joe. No, Joe. You have another account. You're good. Hey, there's your logo.
Yeah, he wore my pants out to the cage too, which is pretty cool. Oh, and I'm on his banner too. How about that? What a G. So obviously you guys know that I'm on Camacho to win this fight now.
When the next fight start. Introductions are wrapping up now.
That is sarcasm, by the way, if people aren't fluent in sarcasm. But hey, this is just a really exciting fight. The LFA flyweight division, I got to tell you, like they just seem to like have these guys stacked up. It's probably my favorite division in regional MMA, the LFA flyweight division. Seems like there's just so many good matchups there.
Yeah, so again, when the next fight start, bell's about to start right now. This is the co-main event, so there's just the main event after this, obviously.
He's doing some serious work in that clinch right now.
Oh, man. Father Terrence is out here watching the fight with him, too. That's cool. Must have had a babysitter. 2 more fights. Yes. Colonel Mustard is correct.
Yep, we are on the co-main event, and then Landry Ward and Frederick Walker is next. So far, it's been a really good night of fights, though.
Yeah.
And if you're going off of the sports book, no real upsets, really. I mean, everything more or less has gone according to plan from a betting perspective. Oh, nice.
Camacho's not having a good night.
He's still in it. I mean, it's still early, but he definitely needs to do something here to get some respect. That looks tight.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume that's who's doing better, not whose dong is better. I was gonna say Fernandez, but I think Camacho's taking it over with this. No, he just got out of it. So yeah, I would lean back to Fernandez. Even though Camacho didn't have the closest to being finished.
What other fight card are you watching, commentating? Which one do you want us to do? This is something like just so everyone understands. Like I have my podcast, Mom's Basement MMA, and Zach has his. And if you guys want us to work on some other stuff together, just let us know, and if we can fit it in our schedule, we will.
Yeah, John. Okay. So Marcus was asking because though I forgot one is on tonight as well. But Mark's fight pass is even behind me, and he's still showing ring walks.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, we're actually like almost halfway through the co-main event right now, so you're behind. It's looking that way. I mean, this is exactly what Kevin needed to do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't give him a 10-8, but this is yeah, exactly what John just said. He read my mind. It's a clear 10-9 for Kevin for sure. And you could tell he wants to end this fight. I mean, you could tell that's what he wants to do.
And I mean, I'm about to say Camacho does not want to be in there anymore. Like he wants that bell to ring or to not be in there anymore.
Yeah, he's gonna have the longest 40. Oh, Kevin's gonna go for that. Oh, I don't know if that's under. It's under. It's under. No, he got out of it. He's gonna go for the arm triangle. He's really good at this too, by the way. I don't think Camacho's getting out of this. I think he's gonna tap. This is what Cody got him with too. He wants out of there. Oh, now Kevin's pulling guillotine. He's running out of time though. Ooh, man. I don't know. That 10-8 argument just got a lot harder to make it after that, but
because literally you figure every time his head popped out, there was another submission thrown. And then you mix in the crowd.
Yeah.
That might be a 10-8, even if it doesn't check all the boxes that you normally would. And not only would I give that a 10-8, like Camacho's morale has to be gone now. Anything he felt confident in at the start of the round is gone.
10-8-ish. Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I think that's appropriate to say. And Kevin's sorry, go ahead, Zach.
I wouldn't call foul if someone gave that a 10-8. It would just be like okay. Like not 100% agreement, but I can understand it.
Yeah. I don't know. You can make the argument after that last 45 seconds or so. You can certainly make that argument. I mean, if I'm a judge and I'm being like objective here, I think on my scorecard it's 10-9 for Fernandez, but you can't really clown anyone for saying that's a 10-8. I mean, you make a very compelling argument based on the last minute of that fight.
And then Aaron Pate, I think it is, asked, are they still fighting? Yeah,
yep.
The second round just started about a minute in. Yeah, I mean, and I was out there saying Camacho's whole like morale is gone, and he's being the more progressive person in this second round so far.
Yeah. Well, because he's doing what he needs to do. He needs to get respect. And he needs to make Kevin think about pressuring him. The question, though, is like how much gas does he have left in the tank? How much did he expend defending all those submissions and all that grappling in the previous round? Well, we're about to find out. You could also ask that of Kevin. Like, Kevin, it's been said in the comments before, Kevin has very good cardio, and he does. But, we're all obviously looking at him to sustain what he just did. And is that something that he can continue to do? Right now, I mean, it's kind of Camacho was the one that was coming out. And it seems like Kevin's up until now that he has center control, was kind of reacting to what he was doing. It's kind of an interesting second so far. Seems like the pace of the fight has slowed down, but now Kevin he's got this fight right back to where he wants it. And I tell you what, like I tell you what, like I said before, like this is a kid that is a striker that fell in love with grappling, and you see it.
Would you go spandex or board shorts in the cage?
Oh, I would definitely go for spandex. I want to show you guys the grundle.
No, definitely board shorts.
No, nah. We're showing the grundle, baby. You guys are gonna like it too.
Scramble to the back with almost some anime teleport ninja stuff. Yes.
Looks like he's on the chin. I don't think he's under, but that's still.
But Camacho is also like not enjoying this.
No, not at all. Now he's a great grappler. Kevin has had, off the top of my head, I know he's had an arm triangle submission choke victory, and then I want to say at least one or two, maybe rear naked chokes too. The guy is like he's not somebody you want on top of you. Like his grappling has really evolved since that Manuel Medina fight, which is who he made his pro debut against a couple years back. It's gotten a lot better.
I mean, you figure since the halfway point of the second round too, he's been right on the edge of getting a finish. Just either not being able to strike enough or not being able to hold the choke long enough. I wouldn't say this isn't a 10-8 one where the first round you could debate it, but
I'm with that. I'm with the diaper. Oh, he tapped, arm triangled him.
Yeah, I mean, and that had to be done because like he didn't want to be there anymore, and he knew if that went to the third round, it was gonna be the same thing again. But
no, so now we can answer that question. Who has the next shot at Cody Davis? It's Kevin.
Yeah,
based off of the quality of opposition. What's Kevin saying? Is he talking about me? So, fun fact: for his ex MMA fight, they ended up cutting it out, but he got up on the cage and started screaming about Mom's Basement MMA in his ex MMA fight. So that was his second pro fight. So for people that are just joining, Kevin Fernandez was able to win by arm triangle in the second round. It was a very impressive performance, and I think I don't mean to speak for Zach, and I'm biased as hell, but I think that you're looking at the next guy that's going to challenge for the LFA title. We'll see, but it's going to be very hard to deny him that opportunity after beating somebody like Camacho.
Now, I don't remember how far out they said the Vegas show is. I think it may have been the
December 15th, I think they said.
That makes sense. That'll be the night before the Jones paper or the end of year pay-per-view. So that also explains why a lot of other companies are doing it. A lot of regional shows on Fight Pass are doing shows that day.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that could be your headliner right there.
And that's his boy Kevin Holland. He's gonna like that. No, he did exactly what it was that he needed to do. So that was a very impressive performance by Kevin. Oh, he's repping the UFC gear. There we go.
Nocha shirt. Those jerseys were going for on eBay for like $700.
Yep. So now, what do you do with if we're in agreement that Fernandez is the guy that challenges next?
Yep.
Oh, Cub's talking to him. Let's hear what he has to say.
It's so weird that, Terrence has to be everywhere Kevin Holland is. Interesting. Doesn't he have a kid? I like when there's like 6 family members who are the ones chanting, and the camera just has to be there with a mic.
Now that was impressive. That was impressive. But yeah, I think Cody is likely going to end up fighting Kevin after that. More than likely.
If that was earlier in the year, that would have been a Contender Series invite, at least, though.
Yeah. Well, it could put him on a short. I guess it just kind of depends. But you would presume that Cody would get that opportunity before Kevin, based off of his status being the champion. You would. I mean, that's only logical. Good for him, though. Awesome. So, what do you do with Correa now? Who would you guys want to see Correa fight after that? If Correa doesn't get a title shot, who would you? What makes sense there? Because there are a ton of guys at 125 that you could potentially pair him up with.
Would you go against the loser of the co-main just because he was right there? And that's because, or so you keep him in the win column?
No, well, as far as Correa is concerned, like, I mean, can you book him against Camacho? I don't think so. I think that's a dead fight. Even though Camacho did beat him, I think it's probably a little too soon. I tell you what, there's like one flyweight that a lot of people have forgotten about in LFA, and you can understand why, just because he's been injured and out of the game for a while. But Christian Natividad is a freaking monster. And I know he's had some health issues, some injury issues, but that would make a ton of sense to me. Have Correa fight somebody like Christian if he comes back.
Of course, you're doing a whole, promo video for the main event, as if you weren't already watching the show. I hate when they do these promos. They don't hype me up just because you showed me a promo video. Like, they could have just went to the fight by now.
Yeah, I mean, Show us the fights. Show us the fights. But so Alfred Walker, he's 11-6. He does have a kickboxing background, so that'll kind of be interesting to see. By my last count, he was plus 170, so we'll see. We'll see kind of what happens with that. But I mean, I would expect this fight to probably be primarily on the feet. Primarily.
Yeah, odds are currently Walker plus 145, Ward minus 170. Which
okay.
I don't disagree with.
And when I looked at this, Walker was the 27th ranked featherweight in the country on Tapology. So, something to think about. So when I looked at this, so Landry Ward, I don't think he was the main. He was the co-main event, I believe, in his last LFA fight, and he ended up winning by split decision. And based off of like the recency between that last fight, that was that coincided right around when Robbie Lawler fought. He fought shortly after Robbie Lawler did. And because he won by split decision, I can't help but think like him, his management, and his coaches, like they were like, you know what, like we can't end our year on a split like that. Like we need to go back out there and like we need to get like a real authoritative win. And I think that's their objective here. Like I think Landry Ward does need to get a finish. There's a question earlier in the chat about can he? Landry Ward, he's a gifted striker, but you can't really say when you go back into his Tapology and look at all of his previous fights, you can't really say that he has like a fight finishing reputation. I don't know if he does, but he definitely should be looking to get one for this. And yeah, Walker is 36 or 37. He is a little bit up there, but he did get a knockout in his most recent fight. So he fought for the promotion that you're tight with. I think he fought for 24/7. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but I think he did at one point or another.
I think early in his pro career. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's one of those things where, for Landry, like let's just call it for what it is. This is I'm not going to call this an easy fight, but like he's not going to get for where he is in his career. This is as easy as it gets, and that's not a slam on Walker. But like when you're 8-1, you're not going to fight, some 6-6 guy. Like you are going to get a guy that's 11-6, unless you fight for Titan FC or some other promotion.
It all depends on who you train with. Whatever gym you're at, it depends on the promotion you're at. Then you might get those super hard fights that no one thought you would win.
But Alfred Walker, he's in his late 30s. I mean, he's still getting the results in the on Tapology. Look at his most recent fights. I mean, he's getting it done. And then for him, it's just kind of like, you go into this like you're an Oklahoma guy and you're fighting in Texas where everyone hates you anyway. And that's probably energizing him even more. He didn't have to sell tickets for this. Landry did. So, I mean, there's really no pressure if you're Walker. You just need to go out there and fight and have fun. Like, I know that sounds like soccer momish, but it's really true in his case. Landry's the one with the pressure. He's the one with, the UFC dreams. I mean, Alfred Walker's not going to the UFC at 36 years old. I think
no, not even getting that short notice on that one. Like,
no, I mean that's just kind of the reality of the situation. So Landry Ward, I mean, the pressure is going to be on him to perform, and it's in his hometown too. So we'll see if he's up to the task or not. But I am a little bit surprised, I have to say, when I'm looking at these betting lines, minus 177 for Ward and then 152 for Walker. I kind of thought Walker would be a little higher. I was thinking something like, plus 200 was probably right. So I was a little surprised at that. I don't know about I think there's a ton of value on Ward actually at minus 170.
Yeah, I mean,
177.
I would have thought like both of them around like plus 220, plus 240 for Walker.
Yeah.
Which would take Ward to about like minus 210.
Yeah. Which is kind of what I thought it would be at, but it seems like by and large, the betting odds are pretty even for this, which is a little interesting. I think if you're Landry Ward, though, so I got a hypothetical for everyone in the chat. If you are in Alfred Walker's corner, what are you telling him right now? I'd love to hear what people in the chat have to say. Like, what does he need to do to win this fight? Like, what are you telling him? I'm telling him to just, dude, let's draw him into a gunfight. That's what I'm telling him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, let's keep it on the feet. He has a kickboxing background. That's where he's most comfortable in. He's caught people before. I'm telling him, let's bait him into a freaking gunfight. I mean, that's easier said than done, but that's exactly what I'm telling him. Like, you know what? Let's let it rip. Let's take some chances. And
you have really nothing to lose, so you might as well.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You get knocked out? Okay. Who cares?
Awesome. Yeah,
thanks
for John.
Yeah, thanks, John. It was nice to meet you, and hope to see you again for the next one. Thank you.
He's a big Perez fan.
Oh, snap.
So.
I know that dude. Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. But, I mean, that's what I would tell him. I would tell him he just needs to go and he needs to just let it freaking rip. What about you, Zach? What are you telling him?
It's one, yeah. You fire like right out of the gate, just bum rush him, get in his face, make it dirty. Because he wants to control. He has to control every aspect. The minute Ward gets an inch, he's going to take 2 inches and then just keep working his way through. And I think he understands he's booked to lose this fight.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. It's in Dallas. They want Landry to win the fight. I mean, and that might energize him even more to go for that finish, because he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, like, I'm screwed if it goes to the judges anyway. So I might as well let it rip.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm telling them.
Because at least, take that chance. If you don't clip them directly, you can at least make the damage that might pull into the second round. Definitely going to pull into the third round.
Yeah, for sure.
Then from there, just don't get finished.
LSK, here we go. So we got a nice comment, and then we had one troll. So I would say it ended up being a pretty neutral night.
And also, again, whatever LFA person watches through here to see what we did. Thanks again for sharing it.
Yeah, thank you, LFA. Appreciate it.
It'd be kind of cool to know. I wish they would let you know like where people found out about it. Just to kind of know, like, was it the LFA thing? Was it? I mean, we can see if it was a YouTube search, but just curious where people actually even found it.
Hey, if you guys are watching right now, let us know how you found it if you're not subscribed to us. That would be cool. Yeah, Landry's a young guy. That's true. Like, I always forget kind of how young he is when I talk to him. I did chat with him before his most recent fight. I think I was already subscribed and he popped in my algorithm. Oh, okay, sweet. So yeah, if you're subscribe to Zach, subscribe to me, or vice versa, whichever side you're on. Because Zach and I are very similar in terms of the content that we push. If you guys like my stuff, you'll love his stuff. And vice versa, if you know Zach and you don't know me, we are very into the regional MMA scene for sure. So we really appreciate the support. And if there's another fight that you guys would like us to do a companion for, we're more than happy to do that if we can make it work with our schedules. So we're both dads and we both have full-time jobs and other things, but we do try to put out stuff. And you got a baller name, Count Stacula. I love that shit. That's probably the hardest name in the chat. I'm just saying.
Joe is, I think, the hardest. He thought he was, at least.
Well, he thought he was until he got banned for being a dummy. So. Okay, LFA Live. Okay, sweet. Well, I hope we see you for the next one, Stacula. You're the man. Thank you. And so we also have. I know Zach is going to be pushing out some interviews with CFFC fighters. So if you guys like CFFC, you're going to like some of the things that Zach's going to be pushing out. Later on this week, I'll be interviewing some guys that are going to be competing on Anthony Pettis, the Manchester England card. I'll be doing that one. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to put out I'll actually do the recording, but I probably won't release the video until tomorrow evening sometime. I'm going to break down the upcoming Cage Warriors card, and I'm going to do a preview and predictions for everything about Cage Warriors. I forget what number we are for Cage Warriors, but the Dublin card where Paul Hughes will be fighting at lightweight. I have some thoughts about that. I got a lot on my mind about that card, by the way. And it's Cage Warriors 161, Dublin, October 14th, in case you guys were wondering. Cage Warriors is like my jam. So Zach is a CFFC guy. I'm the Cage Warriors guy. So, and I did put out, speaking of CFFC, I did push out, if you guys like CFFC, I did push out an interview with CJ LaFergola. He'll be on the Florida card. And then Zach, you just pushed one out with
Cedric
Gunnison. Yeah.
And the question was, they don't really do play-by-play, do they? I mean, I can give you play-by-play of him being introed if you want. They said his name. He waved his hands. They're now coming to the center to touch gloves. But no, we're not being secondary play-by-play. We're talking about the fight as it happens, and it's your fight companion that you definitely did not ask for.
Yeah, and that's why we called it a fight companion, because this isn't like a parallel broadcast. It's a way to hang out and shoot the shit while we're watching fights together. So Joe didn't get that memo, and he got really butthurt and had to leave.
Yeah.
So
we had to
send Joe packing. But yeah, we don't do play-by-play. Sorry. Ward is really in his face, and you could see that urgency in him right away.
If you wanted a play-by-play, Aaron, check out the City Life, I think it's called. It's ran by, I think his name is Aisha. He's not from Canada, but he pretty much does like all the big cards. So he'd be either doing LFA tonight or one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for like a more of a play-by-play, he's probably your best bet, and that dude loves regional stuff, so you'll see a lot there.
I'm surprised that Landry's being as aggressive as he is. Oftentimes, I kind of feel like he hasn't always shown this in the past, and he's kind of let his opponent come to him, and he's kind of been content to be on the outside. Maybe it's just recency bias, but when I think of Landry Ward, I just I kind of like think about patience, and I think about him doing a lot of his work from the outside. And in this case, he's been like super aggressive, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for him. I would go as far as to say, but maybe this was part of their game plan, and maybe that was something they thought about before they got into this one.
And I mean, and a takedown not even halfway through the first round.
Yep, that's That's huge for him. And this is a guy, like, you think of Landry Ward. This is a guy that's very close. If he just goes in here and like does what it was that he's supposed to do, which is get a finish ideally, you would think he's going to be on that list for consideration in terms of going to the show. Ward looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He looks fantastic. He's been very aggressive. He's winning all the striking exchanges. He's winning the grappling exchanges. He looks fantastic. We're halfway through the first round, a little more than halfway through the first round. And this is a clear 10-9 for Landry so far.
Yeah, when they're on their feet, like I don't want to say he looks like he's playing with his food, but you can tell like Ward has nothing to be worried about yet. Like nothing has been shown to him to get any respect. And then when it leads to the clinch thing, it rolls over there then too, because he takes control of that too.
Yep. And it seems like he's doing a really good job between like balancing being super aggressive and then kind of knowing when to back off so he doesn't get countered. I think he's showing. I think he's like showing a lot of fight IQ right now. I mean, he looks he's putting on a great fight though so far. So, like this is exactly what I expected. And Zach, to me, I think the pressure is part of the game plan, knowing that Walker just landed a nice freaking cross, by the way. Knowing that Walker comes from a kickboxing background, you had to wonder if that pressure was part of the game plan to take those kicks away or to limit them.
I mean, this is the fight like Ward needed to go to the next level, or at least get on the eye level, because the optics look great here.
Yeah, they really do. And there's like one thing I kind of wanted to clarify. If some of you guys are new to the regional MMA scene, the contractual situation is a big part of regional MMA that we don't really talk about a whole lot for a few different reasons. But when it comes to title shots and regional promotions, oftentimes they come with like mandatory multi-fight deals. And you'll see some fighters balk at that, because if you're under a multi-fight deal for LFA, there's only one promotion you could go to, and that is the UFC. If PFL calls you, or Bellator, soon to be RIP Bellator, they are not going to release you from your LFA multi-fight deal to fight in one of those promotions. So that's kind of something to think about. You have a guy that's very close in Landry Ward, but he is not going to take a title shot, even if they offer it to him for that reason. So that's just kind of like an important caveat about regional MMA that a lot of people don't necessarily know about. That's why he ended up leaving Combate. He left Combate. He's probably taking a pay cut to fight here, but he left Combate because they don't honor anything there. It's like if you're under a Combate Global contract, you're under contract. And I thought Landry Ward played it perfectly. He spent a good chunk of his early career in Combate, and now he's just on a fight-to-fight deal, and that makes total sense, and more people need to do that.
It's rare, especially rare how you touched on like the title fights too, because there's certain promotions that don't do that, and then they can't hold any champions because they get picked up from the next regional side. And a lot of the Fight Pass, I think it's in the actual Fight Pass contract that their fighters have to be under a UFC option to buy out.
Yep.
Some of them do offer Bellator and PFL because they can at least then take credit that you fought for us, then you got signed.
Yep.
But that seems to be going away too. Like I've seen a lot of companies who won't even say somewhat like Bellator signed them or PFL signed them. They'll wait till like fight night and then use it to promote themselves.
Yep. Yeah, so with Combate, Zach and I have a lot of opinions with that, but I just think for me, it's poorly promoted. I don't even know when they do cards anymore. Sometimes they'll do them at midnight on a Friday. Sometimes they'll be midnight on Saturday or Sunday. They switch up the days on you all the time. They're not very active on Instagram, not really. And the other part of it is they just don't really like. They don't have any champions. Like it's not a real compelling card unless you happen to know those fighters already. Like they don't have really any belts on the line, and it makes it tough to watch for me, honestly. Like name one Combate champion, name one. And Zach he set the internet on fire a couple months ago saying something like that. But like, what's the reason for them not doing any championship fights in Combate? They may have done like one. There might be like one champion out there right now, but who is it? And you aren't going to know unless you Google it.
Yeah, well, I put that question out on Twitter before, and right away someone like answered like a champion who I had to Google to verify.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like, can you name? So for me, and I can name people just because I know who they are, but ask your regular fan, name 5 Combate fighters, and they can't do it. And can you blame them? They're not really promoted all that well. The only people that are promoted halfway decent are the Gochad fighters that go through there. So they've really done a lot to promote Jimmy Pace, who dropped his last fight. But what else?
And asked for an update. I mean, Landry's still controlling the fight. Walker is connecting more this round.
It's closer, but Landry is still ahead, I think.
Yeah.
He's got a laceration of some sort on his right eye. It looked like he got on the bad end of an inadvertent headbutt. That may have been what caused it. But Landry looks really good. It looks like he's going for a single leg takedown at the moment. And we're about a minute 40 left in the fight, or I'm sorry, left in the second round. But he's cruising right now. He's looking good.
I would have both rounds to Ward. The big advantage, the only thing that I can really say about Walker is he's showing more life as the fight goes.
It's closer,
but I don't see Ward tiring enough that's going to help him enough.
It is closer. I think that's a fair statement, but Ward has still done enough, in my opinion. Yeah, so I'm not going to get into specifics here, but if you do some homework, you could probably figure out who I'm talking about. But PFL, they have their own version of Contender Series. It's called the Challenger Series, and there were prospects. There were some champions in other promotions that they were wanted to bring onto the PFL Challenger Series, and they were unable to because the regional promotions wouldn't release them from their contracts. There was one fighter in particular where they had actually announced the fight for the Challenger Series, and then they rescinded it because of that contractual issue.
Yeah. Croc mentioning about how extremely close the second round is. I'm not saying it's a no doubt Ward, because I think maybe if you're the judge who's on the opposite side of the cage, the optics might be a little different. But I would go 2-0 Ward easily. Nothing razor thin or that close to me on that other one.
Yep. And now we're going into the third, but it was closer. I mean, the very first round was a clear for Ward, but you saw Walker find a little bit more success in this round, but still not quite enough to give him the round in total. He showed some glimpses out there, yes, but as you can see from the replay, if you are watching the replay, I think just the damage favors Landry.
Yeah, Marcus made a point. Remember, it was people who don't want to subscribe to Fight Pass. Like you did used to have LFA on Access TV.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, that's
I
been
think
a minute.
even World Series of Fighting was on Access up for a little bit at least. Yeah, then obviously it makes more sense for UFC to lock these promotions down because then they own the archive as well.
Yep. So we are going into the third round. At this point, Zach and I both have it on our cards. 20 for Landry, 18 for Walker at this point. But it wouldn't be a complete shocker if one of the judges on their cards had it one apiece. I mean, it wouldn't be a complete shock. Let's remember what we talked about earlier. It is Texas.
But I think even I do wish this was a 5-round fight, like a real main event.
Yep, I do. I do too.
More so for the fact, more for Walker's sake, because he's doing better as the fight goes. This round's a little more even so far, but with a slight edge to Ward. But
Walker's gonna need. Walker really needs to. He needs to do something authoritative, though. The optics of this aren't looking great with Landry owning the center of the cage like that, and with Walker fighting with the cage to his back. To pull this out, he either needs to catch Landry, or shit, maybe even go for a takedown. Just mix it up and give the judges something else to look at. Because right now we've been looking at 2 rounds of mostly Landry Ward in the center of the cage, walking him down. And yes, Walker is having some limited success. He is having some moments, but not enough to really make a compelling case for him to win this fight. At least not in my opinion.
yeah.
But he's not giving up. I mean, he's going for it. You can see he's ripping it, but you know he has a little bit of a length disadvantage. He's got the height disadvantage, and you know when you see the shorter guy kind of back away like that, it's not a really great look for me. But somehow he's able to close that distance really quick, and you see him finding. This has been his best round so far.
Wow. And I'll add into it how we'll be getting better too, because you figure once you get the last 90 seconds of the fight, Ward's going to know he won.
And
so that
possibly
point
coast.
Yeah. At that point, you know, Walker, he's still there. He's just not as successful as Ward is at any point of this fight. Yes, round 3, about 2 minutes left in the third round.
So what do you have it, Rich? You have it a tie fight on your card? I'm curious. I think it's pretty clear for Landry in my opinion, but what makes you I'd love to hear a different opinion though. I'm ready to listen.
And we're about to hit that 90-second point that I just mentioned where I expect Ward to kind of start coasting. I mean, Cubs saying the complete opposite, that he doesn't have enough, but I felt the first 2 were easily Ward's rounds.
So Cub thinks it's a one apiece.
That's how he was wording it.
Okay.
That that Ward can't just coast because it's that close. So if you're saying that, you're saying there's a chance it could be 1-1. If he can't risk coasting, that means there's a debate that the second round could have gone either way.
I mean, I don't see it that way, but I mean, okay. I would go as far as to say 1 and 2 Ward, and if you're going to give Walker a round, I mean, this would be the round you give him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's. I'd be curious to see what the stats say on this one, but it seems like In terms of significant strikes, I'd be curious to see like what his tally is compared to Landry's is on this for this particular round.
And about 20 seconds or so left on at least my feed. I know you're a little ahead of me, so you can probably already say that the judges like I'm expecting it to be. I would expect a mix of scores. I would say a 30-27, a 29-28, and then a 29-28 the other way. With Ward obviously getting the win.
Okay. Hopefully everyone has I haven't said anything for a few seconds, so hopefully everyone's at a good point. So the fight is over. It went the distance.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I gave rounds 1 and 2 to Landry, and I'll give the third to Walker. I have to give Walker the third, in my opinion. But overall, I have this 29-28 for Landry.
That's how I would score it. But I am expecting 3 different judges. I'm expecting it to be 30-27, 29-28 Ward, 29-28 Walker, just because that second round, if you saw it from a certain angle, I could see it going Walker. We see the TV version. We see the angles they wanted that look the best on TV. So I would expect it to be split, but definitely Ward. Like Tommy Unders says 30-27. I can see that as well. That third round could go either way. The second round, I guess, could go either way, depending on how you see it, like saw it angle-wise.
Right.
But I thought Walker did more than enough in the third round to take that.
In my opinion, yes. Yeah. So I think you and I, Zach, are both saying 29-28 for Landry. Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't cry foul with a 30-27 for Ward, though.
All right. Let's see how they have it. All right, guys, we are going to a decision, and we'll tell you what it is as soon as they announce it.
So who won? We are about 25, 30 seconds away from hearing.
On our card, we have it for Landry Ward. 29-28. That's our card, but the judges that matter are about to tell you what it is.
So judges have said Walker won 30 the way I said it, but the other way around. Somehow 30-27 for Walker. I wonder if that judge knows which red and blue corners are. Because
wow.
I could justify a 29-28. I can't justify a 30-27 Walker.
Yeah. Agreed. Wow. That is just insane. Landry's gonna feel like he got robbed, and
I mean,
and it's tough to that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't see the fight that way, quite honestly. I didn't. Now, if you're gonna say it wasn't the most impressive fight, Fair enough. Okay, we can make the argument that you would have liked to see Landry Ward maybe put his stamp on it, and there really wasn't a moment. He didn't have a moment that we all kind of expected him to have, but I still can't get behind the decision for Walker. I can't get behind that.
Yeah, like
It was a split. So for everyone asking in the chat, like who won the fight, it was a split decision that went for Alfred Walker, and Zach and myself and a few others on the in the chat. I don't think anyone had it for him.
Yeah, I mean Tommy Under said it. He had it the way I said I could see it. The 30-27 Ward.
Yeah.
I thought the one that was up for debate was the third round. You could give it to Walker, but would they give it to Walker would have been, how they see it, what angle of the cage were they at again.
Yeah.
I don't know how you give Walker the first round. That's the main one where I had to question. Who won, Ward or Walker? Walker won by judge's gift.
Yeah, I mean that's there's really not a whole lot else to say. That's a little bit surprising. I mean, none of us are going completely like ballistic or anything like that. Well, there's Ed. Ed's going ballistic. He's a nice guy, Ed. I wonder what he's got in his plastic bag though that he brought into the cage. Ed, if you're watching, I'd like to know. He's a nice guy. I like Ed.
Yeah,
no, I completely agree with what Tommy is saying. Yeah, like round one Walker, like how is that possible? I don't know. I if I knew, I'd tell you. That was I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled, but you know what? Like wow. Landry's still young. He's still got plenty of time. He's only 26 years old, but like the big lesson there was like he didn't have that moment I expected. Like like let's remember how we got here. We got here because it was a split decision in his last performance. Had he won authoritatively, if he really put a stamp on it, he probably wouldn't have been in here. And now he was in a position where he needed to win, and he needed to win impressively. Fight goes to the cards, and then Texas judging. Okay, that took over. That's how we end this, and that's unfortunate for Landry Ward. Now he's going to have to at least come back for at least 2 more fights, bare minimum, maybe even more. So that kind of puts him back to square one, and he's going to have to reassess and kind of figure out what makes sense to him. I would tell him for a 3 or 4 fight deal with LFA may not be the worst idea at this point because of his weight class. It's not like he's a flyweight where he only has one option. If you're a flyweight, for example, sign whatever contract you want because PFL is not running anything and Bellator's dead anyway. So contract status is irrelevant if you're a flyweight. It's a little bit different when you are a lightweight contender, but the reason why I would advocate for Landry re-upping for a multi-fight deal is he's possibly 3 fights in the hole now after that.
Yeah.
And a little disappointing, but hey, hats off to Walker. I personally didn't see it that way, but that's kind of on Landry. He needs to go back and that's a learning lesson to him. I don't mean to be too critical. He's a great guy. I've gotten to know him really well over the past few years, but look at the comments. The people were saying it really wasn't the best performance. There really wasn't kind of that wow moment. We didn't really get that. And when you aren't able to like really put your stamp on a fight, these things are going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is even implying, like, no one's complaining about the 29-28, if you notice also. Like, everyone's like, okay, you could do second, you could do third. It's that first round. Like, that's all it is. If that first round would have been judged correctly, Ward wins.
Right.
Like, it's not like it would have done anything different. Like, that was a win away if he would have got his colors and sides correctly.
Yep. Yep. But hey, that's unfortunate. But c'est la vie. Landry Ward's going to have to live to fight another day. That's unfortunate for him. I wish Landry the absolute best of luck moving forward. He's got a bright future. I think he just needs to fine tune a few things. But he's with a great team at Killcliff FC. He's got great coaches. I think he'll get it done. But hey, the night belongs to Alfred Walker. So congratulations to him. And guys, we've been here for going on 3 hours now. That was the entire main card coverage. And, Zach and I wanted to bring something a little bit different to the table. I hope you guys like this. We have a lot of additional regional MMA content that both of us are going to be putting out. So I hope you guys have subscribed. And we hope that we see you back for another one. And if there's another fight card that you'd like us to do, please let us know. We might switch it up. We might go like CFFC next time or PFL or who knows, whatever. But if there's something that you guys want to see in regional MMA, hey, we're your guys for it. Zach, I'll give you the last word before we sign off.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I know I am scheduled for CFFC for next week. That one will be across all my channels. If you want to hop on, we can do this again next Friday. Otherwise, it'll be a solo. That will be available on YouTube, millions.co/ just search me under gyms. I think Twitter and Facebook as well. Obviously, the more conversation pieces on the YouTube side, though.
Absolutely.
I don't usually, you don't really see anything else from Twitter or Facebook. It's all usually YouTube because of people such as yourselves who searched the event and at first thought it was going to be me or us streaming the actual card, and then you were just stuck looking at us.
Hey, you know what? We do the best with what we have. But hey, thanks you guys for pulling up. Thanks for making this a killer night. We had a great time chatting it up with you guys. We like to keep it low key. We like to keep it conversational and really super interactive and, not replicating a professional broadcast. So as always, really appreciate the participation. Thanks for showing up. We look forward to having you guys back soon.
Yep. Like and subscribe and all that cool millennial bullshit.
Yeah. It doesn't do it for me. I don't have a Mac.